Yo. Sound check, good. Whew.
Your repurposed freighter drifts through space. As you stare out at the star-flecked void, another ship comes in. Wait, is this sci-fi? I thought we agreed on a World War II campaign.
Good.
Did we? That's cool. I can pivot. The smell of smoke curdles in your nostrils. Hold up, I thought we were prepping for a zombie apocalypse campaign. Alright, here's what we're doing. It's the year 3700. Humanity's elite fled to other planets long ago, taking with them all forms of advanced technology. Earth survivors scrape by with historic tools as weird phenomena plague abandoned nuclear sites. Witnesses report seeing glowing lights and the dead rising from their graves. And amidst the chaos, 3 strangers will meet in a dim bar. A veteran zombie slayer, a disgraced general out for revenge, and a space mercenary sent to investigate the power plants. Now describe your characters. How did you do that? I have the right tools for the job.
Yeah, that mysterious ether space. Well, I hope everything's okay. Yeah, it's something. Hello.
Hello. Is it just you and me?
I imagine Mike's coming too.
Oh, good.
So he wasn't, so yeah.
Oh,
good.
Good.
When he's not, he will say something.
The dungeon.
Yep, that's good.
Without end.
I need him. Yeah.
Curious are the
I
lines
overplanned
most
for the previous one, and this one I'm
tree
underplanned. But
that
I've just talked to
endures
Brian Blumklotz,
is
and he
dead.
gave me some inspiration here,
From
so that's good.
stillness, the mad
Yep.
mage is stirring. From countless voices, the castle takes shape. Zagig will test the enduring. Those unlucky will never escape.
All right. What's up, Michael? Michael, I'll be reaching out to you. I got a double header of games, so if you want to sponsor one of them on Saturday, like the Champions one, that would be great. Let me go to. Wait a minute, I should go
Your
to.
repurposed.
Nope, go to that. Run that again. In fact, let me do something real quick here. And that one is. Should be that one. If everything's good.
Yeah,
Make that
things are good
change.
here. Yeah.
Good. I'll let this one run twice. It's only a minute long. Huh. Why isn't that coming up? There it is. Get that, get that, get that. Start this up. Good deal. We still got some time here. It's still early. So I'm not running the game. I'm not running the longer Gamescape badge right now. So check some things out here. Check something. Don't touch. Okay. Alrighty. Awesome. Wow. That new piece is so huge, Armin, that you know, the new moat one, or it's like 34 inches across. So Bill said something ridiculous. It's so big. So Arcane Deities. Yeah. Especially those, you gotta, because then you got to piece them together and everything, you know. All right. Hey, Witch. What's up? Alright, I'm going to stand here for a little bit. See, we're a little early, so that's why Mike's not on yet. We're 6 minutes early, so no biggie. No big deal. Alright. Hey. I am here. Am I here all mentally? It's been a miserable rainy week here, you know?
Oh, here it's gorgeous, sunny, 75 degrees,
You know what? I forgot to
80
do all my
probably.
shout outs. No wonder.
Yep,
So
kind
let
of
me give you a
perfect
second for that.
today.
Has it been? That's good.
Yep.
For me, it's rained all day yesterday. It's raining today.
Well, I
but
live in
on and
Southern
off.
California. What do you expect?
It never rains.
It happens. This
It
winter has
happens.
been fairly rainy, comparatively rainy, meaning it has rained. But now the last rainy days are probably behind
Mike.
us until winter again. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
comes
They might
Mike.
get like a thunderstorm once or twice in the summer.
Right.
That's about
Okay.
it. Yep.
All right. Cool.
And then it doesn't
What's it
rain
like?
from now on until like November or something. Yeah.
So I hope everyone's doing
Hello.
well here. I forgot to hit all the shout outs. So let me get them all done. So Mike, how are you? Everything
Good.
good, man?
Okay.
Thanks for
Yep.
participating for Sunday with the list.
Yeah.
Um, your top one punched it up there, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was that was awesome. Thank
with
you.
Mordenkainen's Fantastic Adventure. So I got a little.
Yeah. I rushed that list out.
Oh,
Like I didn't know what the scoring system was, so I didn't
oh
do
that.
any
Oh,
honorable mentions.
Well, I
oh
did all
yeah,
that
with the
work
one pointers.
in
Yeah.
gusto, so I spent a whole day putting in
Yeah.
a big Excel
And
spreadsheet.
when you said don't do GDQ, then I instantly ruled out Age of Worms and Savage Tides.
Ah, okay.
I couldn't rule them out. I just had to, but
And
I
I
took
and I
them.
ruled out just G1 through 3. I
No,
ruled
I
out a
didn't.
bunch of
Oh,
stuff.
I
sorry about
cheated.
that.
I actually rated them, but they didn't make it
Yeah.
made it into top 10 anyway. So I did. The problem
Yeah.
was solved for me.
Like I like the setting of the Hill Giant Chief. I've ran it more than once, but I haven't
Right.
ran the other two, so I just put G1.
Well, I think I gave you credit for in your spreadsheet for G1 through 3 with putting G1
Okay.
in. So that's a way.
And that is what
Mhm.
I own.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just never was able
yeah.
to
No,
run
that's
more
cool.
than the first chapter.
But so far it sounds like it's been very successful. Gotten a lot of positive feedback. The
Good.
YouTube post vid has got a lot of hits on it, which is great. People are
Yeah.
watching that. So
Uh,
and haven't gotten any negative feedback at all, which is good. So
Yeah,
Either
we didn't take it overly seriously, and it was our opinion, so to speak, and then mashed together.
the
So
funny
it's
thing
not.
is, I
Yeah.
did a blog post many years ago about what my top 10 favorite are.
oh, okay.
Mhm.
And so immediately went to that list. And then I'm like, nah, I don't like this anymore.
Your
Like,
taste that is
yeah.
evolved. Yeah.
Now, Mordenkainen's / Mark Castle is still my favorite, but I kind of changed a few of the others.
Yeah.
Good. Well, that's part of the fun of it,
Yeah.
is doing that. So
Yeah.
I'm glad to
Yeah,
see that.
yeah.
I'm glad to
And
see
it was
those.
fantastic fun. It was
Yeah.
it was a great one, and I had way more fun than I thought I would. So now I'm really looking forward to doing source books later in the summer.
Yeah, we'll do source
by
books
fall
when
or
we can
something.
get a lot of the same
Yeah.
crew together
Mhm.
and
Yep.
keep it. But that'll definitely be another real
Yep.
good discussion here at some point in the future.
Yep.
Because there'll be a lot of there's a lot of options, and we always have source books we have up tonight too. So the Arcane Deities tonight. So I'm just like trying to find others beyond the 3 I know, and I only came up with one other one. I was like,
Oh.
and it's a demi-human deity, and I'm like, my gosh, there's not many magic gods. It's weird.
No, and
Should
that,
there
but
be?
I was going
I
to
can't
say,
see.
why should there be a lot of,
I
and
don't
that
know.
was one of the questions, meaning what's the nature of magic
Right.
or arcane
Yeah,
deities?
because when I broached the subject, I thought there's too many.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Are there?
in some ways, the wizards
Trying
or
to
the
get the
arcane
light on my head.
casters, they are the ones that have the main reason to be atheists because they have the power anyway. They don't need a deity in that sense. They can wield the powers of the gods themselves in some ways. So to me, it seems like arcane. But on the other hand, they can have historic roots and they can protect against magic. So there are many other roles
Right.
for magical
Hey,
gods
Patrick.
apart from giving you magic, because the other gods can do that. You don't need a magic god for that per se. So that gives them an interesting, see, thematic setting
Hmm.
potential or role that I think is interesting. And it also depends on your style of gaming. Is setting just a backdrop or is setting the essential in your game? That also meaning, is the game with its classes and its mechanics, is that the bread and butter or the essential of your game? Then these things become more flavor for something. But on the other hand, if you're like me and the setting is the forefront and the mechanics and the classes and all that, classes even gone out of the window, so to speak, then this thing takes on a little bit of a different thing, I think. Yeah.
I don't know, BB. I think maybe the number that we have is good. There's just definitely a hierarchy,
Yeah.
perhaps,
Yeah.
of magic gods.
But
So
also we have
Yeah.
different cultures in the Greyhawk world, so to speak. And do each of them have a god that covers this
I don't
portfolio, so
know.
to speak?
I don't
Or
know if there's a
that's
Backlaunish
something
one.
exactly, that's why we should dig
Well,
into this and
Yeah, you got
see
it?
what we
Okay.
can, and with the help of all the awesome people in chat, to see what we can kind of dig up here. Yeah.
So we'll see where we go with this tonight. But just
Mm-hmm.
there's ones you know of and think of, and then there's others that are like, maybe, and then there's one that's a demigod, and so I was trying to go back and not worshippers, but think of how many specialty priests, because I do have a specialty priest of Baka written up.
Mm-hmm.
How many specialty priests do I have of that? And I think the answer is one.
Yeah. So what's the nature of a specialty priest of Backup, so to speak, compared to either some other cleric or a wizard, or so to speak? What's the
I was
both
not
from
ready
a
for that
mechanical,
question.
yeah, but I think interesting from two perspectives. One, from a mechanical standpoint, meaning how much wizardly stuff can you do and so on. But also, how do you use the Backup specialty priest in your campaign from a thematical standpoint? That is, I think, another interesting perspective to
in
this.
1E, a backup cleric at a certain level can use magic items.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so here's the priest abilities list. So yeah. So it's good question. You know, and this is, I don't know, I developed this, or I took this probably from the Ashes, because in From the Ashes they do have the spheres done real well, and they do have the abilities at the bottom of the page. So that's my guess where I got a lot of this from. But you can see limited in weapons, very limited in armor. Spheres are very bizarre. There's no
Mm-hmm.
healing at all.
Yeah.
Um, it's and numbers, thought, divination, charm, and astral, only main ones, and it makes an interesting list. And then you can see down here the special abilities they get in addition to their spells, and all divination spells at two levels higher cast. Commune once a day, and they do get sage ability, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Major field is supernatural and unusual with one special category per 4 points of intelligence. So, yep, and must have access to, of course, a library to utilize that. What's up, Michael? And then magical items only used by the magic user class at 10th. And then the spell list is here, and there's a lot. There's a lot of base spells on here, as you can just take a look. But there's not you're no healing spells.
That is an interesting. I'll come back to that
Base
and ask you
cures.
more about that later.
Yeah,
So yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah. But all the way up to 7th level spells. But it's just, it's a lot of different. If you're gonna play a priest of Baka, I know you're gonna utilize the character, the priest, a lot differently than a normal healing cleric.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, why don't you just make a wizard, you fool?
Yeah.
Yeah, part of the flavor. Yeah. True.
Is that so to keep the Backup specialty priest close to wizard mechanically and thematically? Is that the reason why there's no healing, or what's the?
Well, they do get like cure light wounds and stuff, base stuff.
Oh, okay. So they get some healing, but they don't get the powerful stuff, so to speak.
Yeah. No, they don't. They can't raise dead. They don't have necromantic spells. They can't do healing circle spells. They can't do, very specialized spells. Just a couple base healing spells. That's it.
Yeah.
So they're not healing factories at all. So, and there are some evil deities that don't get healing at all. Like I use.
My rules, then they don't get healing at all. They can give you temporary hit points and cheer you up, so to speak, but they can't heal you or any of that stuff.
Is it because of their alignment?
Well, it's because if they're depends on their legions. If they take their magic from the negative, it's negative powered, so to speak. Then and that what taints them evil, so to speak, and that then they can do it. There are some that might do evil deeds in that sense, that they go out and be ruthless and so on, but they tend to
watch this.
The good ones go after.
I'm going to blow this right up.
Uh-oh.
Are you telling me your lawful evil Fultus priests don't heal?
Mm-hmm. They will start losing their healing. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
They're
That's one of that.
too
That's
busy
how they
harming
figured out.
people to
Yeah, they're burning them the heretics at the stake, so it will take a while. So yeah, and
They're
that's one of
still
the
very
crises in it.
militaristic.
Oh yeah.
They're still
Hmm.
out there with
Yep.
armies and stuff, and not being able to
Hmm.
heal armies is a major.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yep.
okay, because I know a lot of
Yep.
there aren't many deities that cannot heal.
Hmm.
A lot of evil. I know a lot of evil ones like Hexter gets healing spells, and
Yep.
the roll
And my
doesn't.
rules is that
Okay,
they have other assets, so to speak. They have more of hordes of stuff to send in, so they have more allies in that way. They have more in numbers. And they can also command other creatures and their underlings to do stuff that they can compel troops and they can command troops. They can do a lot of stuff like that. So that means that they get effective in that sense, so to speak. But they have to, and they can also then raise them and use them as undead troops. That is another huge asset. So militarily, they're definitely not. If you look at it from a grand perspective, they're not underpowered at
uh,
all. They're on the
so
opposite. But the good ones have their asset is that they have troops that are willing to go into harm's way.
I
Yeah.
know we're going off on a tangent here,
Oh
which
yeah.
is okay. But
Yep.
so
We should
what
not
you're
go too
telling
deep,
me,
yeah.
what you're telling me with this is no humanoids priests heal.
Depends. There might be some that, but not the regular ones, the grooms and so on. Nope, they don't heal.
How about Luthic the Cave Mother?
I haven't gone into him in detail, but
Her,
he,
right?
yeah, or her, yeah.
Okay.
But the ones that are evil and use evil principles and necromantic and harm spells and all that, no, then
Okay.
you can't heal. Yep.
Okay.
It's one or the other, or none, so to speak.
Thanks,
Some of
Armin.
them are kind of, they don't take a stand, so they can either heal or
Thanks,
harm,
Moose.
but they can do a
All
bunch
right.
of other stuff.
All right.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep. But they're still temporary hit points and stuff like that. You can cheer things up and so on, but you can't go back and yeah, because they don't want to give away anything, because the god needs to sacrifice his power to give aid to heal and resurrect his underlings and his worshippers, and the evil ones don't want that. So that might be an exception now and then, but that they don't want to send that message either. And then they need to tap into magic and stuff that are not outside of their domain. So yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah,
I won't
but
beat.
that,
I won't
we
beat
can,
on
we
it.
can, that's a whole show, I think, in the future.
Yeah, it is.
We could discuss
It is.
healing and the role of healing, both mechanically and thematically. I think it's another good show we should have down the line.
We just did a Gabbin on it a couple weeks ago, if you remember.
Oh, yeah,
on
well,
healing. We can do one that's referred to GREYHAWK. I don't know. I think that certain nurturing deities of humanoids, especially Luthic for orcs,
Oh, yeah.
would
Yeah, I
get
don't
healing,
rule
even though
out-
she's
yeah.
evil. But that's okay.
Yeah, but I can certainly have deities for demi-humans or anyone that can heal, yes.
Okay.
And just like there might be evil gods for elves and others too that can't heal, so yeah.
Okay. Interesting. I don't know, BB, because I don't know about what an arcane priest, making healing potions. In my game, no, because not anyone can make healing potions. You got to be an alchemist, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, they got. If they have
that's
alchemy, then yes.
I think
But,
you got to be able to cast a spell, so no.
Yeah. So my guess on that is a no. Healing magic can be used for evil. Just saying. I agree. Dark elf. Yep, I agree. So, but that's okay. Yeah. So Bakub's interesting. I know Tim has one. And he's dual class actually. He's it's a weird dual class I allowed because it was Tim. So I think it's from Pete and John's Teamster service. John, he's a dual class. He went from necromancer to priest to Bakub. So he's like, and Bakub's the uncaring deity, so it makes sense. So cause minor wounds is not a healing spell. That's a reverse healing.
Yep.
Which a lot of them get. I mean, So what's up, Greg?
Yeah. That's
yeah. Which is so.
Hello.
There's a lot of those. But all right. So once again, when did these deities appear? And I guess that's we're going to the 83 box set, right? When they first
Yeah,
appear.
that we have a good list, and that's also one of the lists that has their origins, which I think is another interesting aspect to this.
Right. We'll hit the Dragon Magazine articles after this. We'll do it in reverse because the Dragon
Oh, well,
Magazine articles are before this.
yeah, but I think this is a good place to
Yeah,
start because you
yeah,
get like an
absolutely.
overview and you get some of
Absolutely.
the roots and stuff. So yeah.
I'm going to get something out of the way real quick
Yeah.
for the overarching theme of this.
Yeah.
Okay, so arcane deities. Here's what I'm dealing with:
Mm-hmm.
Bakub,
Yeah.
Zagig,
Yeah.
Weejas,
That's it.
Vecna.
All right. See, I didn't have Vecna because I don't have Vecna. I don't like Vecna as a deity, but we
Right.
can add Vecna.
And then
Oh, yeah.
there's at least maybe 4 tangent knowledge gods I could throw on there.
Okay. Is Delib one? No.
Delib.
Yeah. Okay.
Delib, Lydia,
Right.
Caius, and Istus.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. I have one other, and that's an obscure elven deity that was in an addition because really none of the demi-human gods, besides elves, are really spellcasters. Maybe we won't count gnome illusionists, but yeah, I have one, so from that as well. So all right, so here's your list here, and yeah, I don't see a lot of like you got your lesser gods down here, and this is where you start seeing some of the. They do have other gods here that I didn't even realize like Alatur's on this list. And that's a Becklunish god. Even though it says FC.
Flan common.
Flang common, yeah, I guess, yeah. That's interesting.
And I interpret that as that they had Flan origins, but now being more widespread worship and in other areas as well, so to speak.
Yeah, so you got and the funny thing here is how many of these there are some mixed in. There are some Soul mixed in here. Not all the Soul are on this list, but some of them are from Lens articles.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that we will find more and yeah.
Because you got time for Lender. Yeah. So you got that's it. Bakub and Ouija as graders. They're like magic. I don't think I see a single word magic in this entire lesser god list. Nope.
Nah, it's all covered at the top.
Yeah.
Because magic's important.
Yeah. Thank you for the hype train, everyone. Really appreciate it tonight. Thank you so very much. Hey, Jeremy. I don't see any down here except it says humor and occult studies for Zaggy. It doesn't say magic, but occult. That's close enough, right? I don't see any others. Wow. None listed as magic, but I guess we got some close quartered ones. And let's see, is it just a major guy? We got all right, so Bakub is right here. But let's go to the let's go here. It's better. Got a nice picture and everything. Alrighty. New magic user spells that are going to go into Arcana. Woohoo! Firewater, one of my favorites.
There were years of announcements of what was going to come into Unearthed Arcana. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know a lot of these spells get like lost to time because a lot of people don't believe in using the Unearthed Arcana at all.
Oh, there are people who don't use the Unearthed Arcana?
Yeah, absolutely.
They think it's overpowered or
they're like
kosher.
There's a lot of things I don't like in the books, so I don't use it because I like Firewater. I rarely see anyone else using it besides my players.
But I think that goes with almost every book, D&D book I ever bought. There are things in there that I don't like, and there are things that I do like in almost every book as well. So
I think it's in the 6th. Here we go. All right. And look, we did Hexter Heronius last week, and they're right here as well. I use St. Cuthbert. Oh, geez, you know what? It isn't 60. Duh! I got the wrong one. Is it 70? 70. Sorry. 70, which I had open. I don't know why I have 67 open. Thank you, Longshot. What page is this at? Oh, it's the one that there's no page number on it. What a typo that is. Look. Whoops. Typos existing all those years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Here. Deities, Demigods of GREYHAWK. No page. Whoops. going to assume it's before the other one, so it's in the early 20s. You're from the Sorcerer Scroll social status, which went also into Arcane.
So, like was mentioned in chat, Bakub is known as Al Zarad in the Backloonish lands.
It's
This
Yeah,
was
hey.
a later, I think, idea to expand on the Backloonish pantheon by
Right.
including what are
Mhm.
common gods, but to give them their own name for it.
Yeah.
It said in the writing in what you're looking at now that Bakub is worshipped throughout the Flannis, which I guess would, to me, means just anything that's on the Darlene map, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So they're in Zeev, they're in Grey Kingdom, and everywhere in between.
Okay.
But I have him as widespread, but not particularly common. Meaning, it's the
Right.
ones that are interested in this
Yeah.
and want magic knowledge
Whoops.
or
Wrong
similar stuff. So it's not the god for the common man or any of that, so to speak.
But he's definitely the god for wizards, guilds,
Yeah.
sages.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's a lot of
hmm
inroads there for
Yeah.
Bakub worshippers.
And I
Well,
see both the magic itself, but also understanding of this is like understanding physics is being learned, so to speak. Then I guess Bokob can be an asset too.
Nerol and Paler are also learning in those. Oh, you created the names, Gary? Okay. Cool. I did not know that.
Oh, cool.
We learned something else new.
in all they call Bakub, they use his name backwards.
Lou? Oh.
No, he's
Same.
Bakub.
Oh.
They say Bakub's name backwards.
Oh, nice. You got me
That's
on that
awesome.
one.
Yeah, that's awesome. The
Gary,
big
what
B
did-
at the end.
Gary, what were your thoughts on our top 15 that we came up with? I'm just curious. So, I've done post 3 straight days on them, putting them out there, and just was curious. All right, so he's got this weird disc of concordant opposition, saying that he's like a true neutral type, right?
Yes.
It blasts anything diametric, right, on one of the 4 sides into nothingness. So,
Right.
which is
I was just reading about this recently. Anything under 13 hit dice, auto just blast out of existence,
Yeah.
which you gotta love 1E.
or less than
Yeah.
50% magic resistance.
There was a lot of kind of it was going to hell or going the right way, depending on that was like a thin thread. You missed the saving throw, save or suck. Yeah.
Well,
That's a godly power.
I'm not trying to
Yeah.
bust anyone. Someone posted to me, about like our Heronius and Hextor talk.
Okay.
That Heronius, like they can't be hit by less than +2 weapons. I think it was Heronius. So Heronius is immune to a sword of sharpness. And I said to the person back, I said, well, if you are running around with avatars of Heronius attacking people, then something's wrong with the game, right? You know what I mean? I don't want to be facetious about it, but like I don't have avatars of Heronius and Hextor running around my Greyhawk.
No,
That was all in first edition. They loved to throw all of these deity
Yeah.
stats out there and
Yeah.
just take them for what they are, right? So sounds like
But that's the
It wasn't
the
Curtis.
backside. That's the flip side to when you stat out the gods. That means that they can be killed.
well, that's true.
That's the thing. Yeah. So
Part of
so
my
that's-
analysis is comparing the magic
Nice!
stats.
Oh, cool.
Oh, that's cool,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. So I don't have my gods don't live in this. They are above stat blocks, so to speak. When you become a deity, you no longer have a stat block. You can't be found and killed that way.
But if you're
That-
philosophizing and you say who's better, Ouija's or
Right. Well, then you want to
Bakub, then
compare.
how are you going to
Yeah.
compare them?
Yeah.
Oh, it depends on number of worshippers, the power of the worshippers, the number of agents, meaning clerics and stuff like that, the number of sites dedicated to, and the hold you have in your realm, so to speak. These are the signs of strength, so to speak.
Yeah.
The things that a deity can rely on that as a way
true.
of promoting strength.
But-
So
but-
but
but
that's my take on
In
it.
a
Yeah.
game, they're not tangible.
No, but they become tangible in that sense that if you want to go up against a fight against that deity or its
Not
priest,
to a
whatever.
12-year-old kid, Anna.
No, I
You
get
understand
that.
when
But
I'm playing? When I'm playing in
60
1980 and I'm 12
Oh,
years old.
Oh, yeah, I'm totally get it. I'm 60 years old and I played this game way too long, so that's why
that's all
yeah,
I'm saying.
mhm. Yeah.
I've never had deities show up for fights and stuff. I
I
always
think we
found it was
had
kind of silly, but
Cuthbert and Ayus once made an appearance.
well, they do in
If,
Temple of
yeah.
Mental Evil. Both of them show up.
Oh yeah,
And
I think we
Zogdemoy's in
had it,
Temple of
but
Mental
I
Evil
don't
as well.
use I didn't use
Vecna lives.
the stat blocks.
Oh, well, Vecna lives is a different story. So if you don't know, Eric Moten is running Vecna Lives at Page, and he's already put me in as a ringer player. There's going to be five open signups, I think, for it. And we're going to have a doubleheader on Friday. I'm going to DM in the morning. He's going to DM in the afternoon. Going to be a fun day. So, yeah, 125% magic resistance, which is, I think, the highest I've ever seen as well. So,
Yeah, the magic resistance cracks me up. So just in case you can somehow diminish someone's magic resistance, he has extra.
yeah.
But that's one of my points of comparison here. So he obviously has, being the god of magic, has the highest magic resistance.
Yeah.
But like his
Whoops.
right hand man, Zekig, he has 100%.
Well, yes.
Yeah. So but it kind of goes down from there. And Ouija's has 90%. So there's interesting data points you could compare the gods on, I think, even if you don't.
Right. And
for
don't
comparison.
use the stats in the actual game here, So I'm trying to see, like, he calls himself Bacchus called the uncaring, Whether or not any worshippers serve him seems to have no importance. There you go. Sages also revere him. He's always wearing purple. I didn't realize it was purple.
Yeah.
Shimmering runes of gold move and change.
So Bokob and Tharistun are associated with purple. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And he don't care, but when it comes to Thurisdan, he cares. Because Thurisdan's trying to undo everything.
That might be a Bokob have the same color just to prove that he doesn't care about anybody or anything.
Yeah.
It's just a fun little anecdote to think about.
You probably don't have access to this, Jay, but the Deities and Demigods 2002 third edition book has, if you want to talk stats, those are ridiculous stat blocks.
Oh yeah,
for
yeah.
gods.
So like Bacchus would have 800 hit points in that, right?
Oh, they have
something.
They have enormous.
Because of the
But
power.
there is good lore in there.
Oh yeah, exactly. The lore. I think that's in many ways that's the best one because it has so much GREYHAWK stuff in it. So
really, in the Deities and Demigods third edition.
Oh yeah, because that GREYHAWK was the default setting.
Yeah, between that and Manual of the Planes, there's good GREYHAWK.
Third edition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to try and pick
because GREYHAWK was the default setting. So
for
the
example, Bakub's realm is called the Library of Lore. It's in the Concordant Opposition, aka the Outlands.
Yeah.
Where he stores a copy of every magic item ever made.
Hey, John. That's neat. I did not know that. Okay.
It's
non-artifact.
Cool. Yeah.
Who wrote that?
Hang on a second.
That's part Gary in the article you got open. And it was just kind of developed from there.
No, yeah, but in that book, who wrote that? Who wrote?
I don't remember who wrote the book.
Edition?
I don't know. Whoever was on the 3E team back then.
Yeah, I'm getting it here in a second. Here. We have it's Michelle Carter and David Noonan. Oh, it's Rich Redmond, Skip Williams, and James Wyatt are listed as the top contributor, and then creative director Ed Stark.
Michael Clark's character Turk has been to the Library of Lore, according to him. It's good to see you, man.
Yep. And Jay, the creative director for Deities Demigod third edition is Ed Stark.
Really?
Yeah. And that rings a bell with Paige.
I had no idea.
Yeah, so ask him about that when
that's
we get
interesting.
to
I didn't even know he was
Paige.
writing for Paizo back then. Very interesting.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a good book. Yep. Not
I
mechanically
don't have it, so
in that sense,
maybe
but
I'll take a look.
Yeah, I have. Hang on a second. I'll find it here somewhere so I can show what it looks like.
Manual of the Planes as well. Okay.
Yeah. I have it here somewhere.
One of my other favorite Baka mentions in 1E is that he can travel to any time or plane.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
In 3E, extend that out to even like alternate realities. So you can almost imagine like Bakub he's on Earth and
Yep.
Arth and
Mhm.
he's everywhere.
Yeah, and this also ties into the
That's it.
manual of the planes from third edition that had a lot more. It
Yeah.
fleshed out a lot of the bones that were
All
in
the
the first
realms.
edition. Yeah, so it has a lot more lore and cool stuff in it. So
Hmm.
and
Yeah, if you
it's from
ignore
the
the
time
stat
when
blocks,
exactly. So skip
good
the stat,
stuff.
ignore the stat blocks and go over the. And it's from the time when GREYHAWK was the default setting, which
Okay.
is yeah, which is really really cool.
Try
Although
and get
the
a hold of
one
it.
stat I do like from 3E that Deities and Demigods book does is the
Thanks.
divine rank. I
Yes.
like the divine
Oh,
rank
cool.
because it just gives
Yep.
you a whole number that you can compare gods
Yep.
and demigods to.
Yep. And it comes with, and here we have the entry for Bakob, and it comes with a bunch of stuff. So you get the symbol, and you get a
Okay.
lot of information and stuff. So yeah, so it's a highly from a GREYHAWK perspective, it's a great addition to your toolbox.
And it's not 3.5 version, just the third edition.
It's a third edition. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why it's GREYHAWK, because GREYHAWK was the standard setting.
Okay.
And they're Elven, Corellan, Lareth, and Cord, and the whole bunch of them. So they're here en masse, so to speak. And a lot of the humanoid ones like Kurtulmak and a whole
I
bunch
can
of
get
them.
like I can get one in the 30s, 30
Yeah, the
hours.
only
So
thing that's
it's not
disappointing
bad.
Yep.
about that book, Anna, is that they do the core gods, which is fine, Greyhawk, yay. But then they do like Egyptian,
Oh yeah.
Norse, and
Mm-hmm.
Olympus. That's it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So
Huh.
it doesn't have the
It's
but so it's more concentrated on GREYHAWK and a
yeah, no
little bit extra.
Celtic, no
Exactly.
Central
So
American.
yeah, but from a GREYHAWK perspective, this was dynamite when it came because it was what we
Yeah,
wanted and
yeah.
not much else. So
Interesting.
yeah, so the other ones who just thought this will be the third edition take on the original deities and demigods, they were probably gravely disappointed. But from a GREYHAWK perspective, it was
So there was
fantastic.
not a
It's
lot of
a
Forgotten Realms writing going on during the Paizo Hawk era. It looks like.
No, because GREYHAWK, well, we have to realize it was it 5 years, 4 years, something like that, from 2000 to like 2004, 5, when third edition, before the 3.5 era came, because that's when they switched away from GREYHAWK again. The Living GREYHAWK campaign continued, but the official content in the books became
oh,
Forgotten Realms was the standard setting from then on. And
Interesting.
but we had the third edition, the 3.0 era that had GREYHAWK as
Yeah,
the
it was still
default setting.
WotC. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yep.
Got it.
So this
Awesome.
is one of the good stuff that came out of
All
that
right.
era.
I'll
Yep.
definitely get a copy of that then for some
Oh
more
yeah, you
lore.
should. Yep.
Very cool.
Yep.
So yeah, Gary
Oh
says,
yeah, there was also a lot of Forgotten Realms stuff done during the 3 era as well, but that didn't show up in the core books. That was a Forgotten Realms. There's a whole bunch of them. There was like an Underdark book, and there were Forgotten Realms campaign setting, and a whole bunch of stuff that had Forgotten Realms label. I'm going to show what the books look like.
yeah, it
there
sounds
was
like
a mention of the epic level handbook in chat. Yeah,
Yeah,
I would agree that would kind
yeah.
of fit in with
Yeah, so
God
the Forgotten
stuff.
Realms books looked like this in the third edition era, and they were a separate product line. And then at 3.5, it kind of switched again, and Forgotten Realms became more of a default setting, and GREYHAWK disappeared
interesting.
into the again, so to speak. So yeah,
And then they started winding down the living.
exactly.
Yeah,
And then they said they're winding down and so on. Yeah, but the Paizohawk era continued for some years, and then they revoked the licenses for the
right until
magazines and stuff in the
2008.
yeah.
Interesting.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that was the history. So yep.
All righty. So still, and maybe someone can tell me the story because I'm still a little convoluted. Is it because of what he found in under Castle Greyhawk? How did Zege actually raise to a demigod?
That's interesting. I have it that you can either become, meaning there are two ways you can become a deity. You either become so damn, you amass power yourself, and you become an exceptional creature of your type, and people start worshiping you or fearing you. That's one way of getting up. Another way is that you can have another deity who wants an assistant or whatever who can promote you up, so to speak. And maybe Zagig became useful for Bakob, and Bakob sponsored him in, so to speak. That's
Well, yeah,
that's
it does
my
say
take on it.
right
Yeah,
here he's the sole servant of Bakub.
yeah, yeah. So I have it
So
that Bakob sponsored him in, so to speak,
My
helped him over
take,
the threshold. Yeah,
my take is that Baka being uncaring was probably likely ignoring all of Zagig's pleas for attention and whatnot, and he literally had to capture some gods to get his attention,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
okay,
And then Baka was like, "Hey, here's a guy who's like my number one fan. Says he and it doesn't really care about mortal affairs. He could send Zagig to do all that work
yeah.
for
And
him."
I think what Sagig
that
promised
doesn't
was
make
to
sense,
not
Stevie.
bother Bakob and make sure no one else bothered him,
Yeah,
Yeah,
so to speak.
yeah,
So he could be like
yeah.
his assistant that took care of business, so
yeah.
Bakob didn't have to. That
Zag
that kind of, yeah,
Zagig was the mayor of GREYHAWK City and all this other stuff, so he wouldn't be an avatar of Bakub
yeah,
because he existed
hmm,
as his own self
yeah.
in GREYHAWK lore. So just interesting. Yeah. So, but it says he's still demigod status. Has anyone pushed him beyond that? I know how sometimes they
No, I
creep up in
haven't.
editions.
No,
I'm
Yeah.
good. Good. I
I
think
have
that
10 levels of deities in my rules, so to speak, in my rule system. So go from like just being you start become immortal, so to speak. So you're
what
not
about
on anywhere close to, and then like third level 3 is like a divine tiers. Let's see here. So you have, yeah. Um, Demigod, a minor demigod is divine class 3, and that's where I think he is.
okay?
Yeah, and a major demigod is divine 4. So that's where,
You
and
say you have
then
10?
of 10, yeah. Hmm.
Okay.
So you have the ruler of pantheons is number 9. That's Asmodeus and stuff like that. So and then you have
Okay.
planar lords that like Grasset and that caliber of them, so to speak, and then planar nobility. And major gods or Corellin Larethan is like a divine 6, maybe 7. He's like a ruler of pantheons, or maybe, yeah, something like that. And supreme being is 10. That's the highest.
Who's the supreme being in GREYHAWK?
Tharistan used to be, and then he
Hmm.
was dethroned. Yeah.
So there isn't any.
Nope. Right now, I don't have any. The highest one is probably Asmodeus on 9, and there's a couple of other 8s, and so Grasset is like an 8, and he's up there close to Asmodeus and wants to challenge him for the ruling of the underworld, so to speak, and a bunch of others. So they become exponentially more of them as you go
Interesting.
down in rank, so to speak. So yeah,
One of my last emails with Gary was about the 9 deities that get captured. Uh, they were mostly the original GREYHAWK deities from the A3 box set. Yeah, and then they changed in. Well, I know
yeah,
in Expeditions it's a lot of demigods, right?
yeah.
Zuokin's in there, and
And
yeah.
quasi deities were a thing. In old school D&D and early
Hmm.
Greyhawk, it was like quasi deities, and
Well,
I have them.
There's two. There's two different types. Scott Benny had saints,
Uh-huh.
and then Gary had quasi deities, which are about the
Yeah,
same.
yeah.
So
I have it that saints are basically the divine 0. They are immortal. And then you have divine 1 quasi deities and divine 2 hero deities and 3 minor demigods. So,
Interestingly, though, a saint you would think implies that they themselves worship a deity, whereas I
they
think the
did, they
quasi
did,
deities are
yeah.
just powerful because they are.
Hmm.
right.
Well,
But
I just put an example of them. So some divine 1 worship others, and some of them are just on the tier to get up in little
yeah,
obscurity and run. Like that might be a demon or something that runs a cult or whatever, or someone that is just getting up there. So yeah, or someone sponsored and helping out, an assistant or someone like.
there are very few. Always there are very few like Hercules of Greyhawk. Son of Zeus is running around in Greyhawk.
Yeah, they seem to have other family ties
Yeah,
in
there's very few
Greyhawk.
of those running around.
Yeah, there's some brothers and sisters in the
Yeah,
Flan faith. There are some brothers and sisters and stuff.
but they're not like the hero deity thing. Like in the Finnish deities, there's a lot of them, right?
Hmm.
Vandemoinen and
Well, yeah,
and all.
yeah. And Old Norse was full of these people that became
Right.
immortal and become of the gods, and they walked the earth, but they had godly powers, so to speak.
Right. Uber deities and quasi deities don't grant spells or perform miracles. That's incorrect, Dark Elf. They do grant spells,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
but it's very limited. Now, I know Gary may argue that with me, but according
Oh.
to the quasi deity list, I think quasis can
And old
up
school
to
rules
fourth.
that were, what was it?
Yeah.
That were
Demigods are fifth.
limitations. Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Demigods are
I
fifth.
have
No,
it.
fifth, unless they're on the prime material as their base. So
Uh-huh.
that's why Ayus can do sixths.
Mm-hmm.
Because Ayus as a demigod, his base is prime material where he gets his power from,
Yeah.
so he can do sixth level spells.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But like
I
Kellinan, and we
yeah.
can I can show this. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Anna. What were you gonna say?
I was going to say I sliced it differently. It's not the level of spells they can do; it's the amount of clerics they can give them to. So a low level saint can have like a few, but they can give all the magic they know. They can give that, so to speak, but they can only have that many agents of various kinds. So the higher they go, the more clerics and stuff they can support,
It
so to
sounds like
speak.
a druidic hierarchy.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
Yeah,
Sorry, I didn't
sorry,
understand that.
we're full on,
yeah,
10th level.
Handel, they
thing.
did. Like Kellinan's a hero
yeah,
deity. It's one step
yeah.
above Merlin and
Hmm.
Heward and
What was the in old school? What was the spell level they could give? Was it third, second?
what? That's Kellinan's fifth.
Oh, okay, fifth.
Kellinan and
Okay.
Merlin both can do fifths.
Yeah,
You know, and I know Gary's like, oh, they shouldn't be able to grant spells, but you know, now we have them, and we have. I really like having Merlin and Kellinan, especially priests in my game, so it works.
yeah.
But you know,
And
I,
that's the way I see Bokob having very few clerics, but he can be they
well,
can be
yeah,
very powerful, so to
yeah, I
speak.
agree on
And
that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
Kabak in the Gordon novels, which is
Kabak.
very
Oh,
funny.
Kabak, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's just a mixed up
Yeah.
letters.
God.
But
Oh, but
but
that was he needed to
Gordon.
change the names of a bunch of stuff after he left TSR. So yeah.
I can understand. Like I said, it's not a very popular. Bakab is not a very popular, especially priest choice, but it's available.
Yeah,
Um,
but mechanically, could it be an interesting character to play? Meaning, what do you get from
it
being
is. It
a
is 'cause
priest rather than a
Thought
straight wizard?
Thought
So
and
to speak?
Time Sphere is pretty good.
Mhm.
Tim uses it well. It's just you gotta
Yeah,
really. Yeah, it could be fun for an NPC too. Yeah, I agree. You gotta
It
think.
is a pre-generated character in Mordenkainen's Fantastic Adventure.
Yeah, Bakab, isn't it?
yeah.
Baka priest. You're right. You're absolutely right there, Mike. Who is it? Rag?
Rigby.
Rigby.
Oh,
Says
it's
here.
Rigby.
Yep.
Okay, Rigby. And Rigby isn't Rigby. Which is the one that is in the end? He's the one that's afraid of eyes, right? It's Rigby. He's the one who's dies and they bring his body into GREYHAWK and they desecrate his body, right? It's Rigby.
Yeah.
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 Rigby's Baka. Okay. Well, there you go. Rigby's a Baka priest, but yeah. So here's cool thing about this is they start detailing what the actual disc does in spell form. Well, it's 6th level, so very few people are casting it. But
Yeah.
The minor disc.
yeah, minor disc. Yeah, you need but and here's where the sage abilities talked about right here. So there's Baka right there in this book. So it's one of the few that are in the book, this GREYHAWK Adventures book. So all right, so back to Zagig. So
One of my favorite Zagig things that I just reread here and remembered is that he is also a fighter.
yeah,
Yeah. Hmm.
yep,
It's
The
interesting.
dude
Both
has a
Tensor and
vorpal sword.
yeah, both Tensor and Zagig has a warrior side to them or martial side as well
yeah,
as the arcane side. Yep.
yeah. It's like 8th level equivalent or something on here is his avatar, but everyone had to fight back then.
Well, if you go, especially if you want to go solo, then I guess it will be a smart thing to know more about fighting and kind of beef up a little bit on that side as well. If you want to go solo adventuring, I can totally get it. Why, if you want to have some more martial to at last ditch defense, so to speak, and yeah,
I like the one thing here. It says, he says likely prove a vorpal blade in one hand and wand of wonder in the other. Harmful effects of items employed by this being tend to not affect him, but his opponents instead. That's kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
It's the
Yeah.
chaotic aspect of that, which is neat.
Yeah, it
So,
also had a hilarious kind of humorous side of pranks and stuff. So Gaga seems to have been really into pranks
yeah, Michael,
and stuff like pranksters.
Gary
So
just did.
he,
Yeah.
he made Zagging and Bokob part of, especially Zagging, part of that culture. So yeah.
Yeah. Elzerod.
But it still doesn't, like, is there a story that I don't know of that explains, like, the process was for him to elevate to demigod status?
Not in detail.
Yeah,
No, we don't
right,
have that in
right.
detail.
Yeah. That I would be interested on.
In GREYHAWK Ruins,
Right.
Zaggix, there's a lot of lore sprinkled in there. You have to connect a
Oh.
lot of dots.
Okay.
The whole like first level of the power tower is a temple of Bokob.
Aha.
It's got priests, it's got libraries, it is entirely the whole tower dungeon. There are statues of Bokob everywhere
Mm-hmm.
that dispense lore. So he's a huge worshiper, of that god.
Have someone written this and put it in a blog post somewhere? Yeah.
No,
Please,
not
Mike,
distilled.
please.
Not distilled. Then you have the obelisk. He
Mhm.
built his castle there because of the obelisk, and the obelisk, it's like is almost like a masks
Is that
detector.
where Monty Cook got the idea of the obelisk for Return to Temple of Elemental Evil? Yeah. Sounds ominously
Yeah.
familiar. Yeah.
It got no vote. It got 0 votes and out of everyone. Thank God.
Yeah.
On Sunday night. I don't know how that is. It was 6th on that top 30 list. Such a slap.
I didn't
in the
mention
face.
it was like a quarter up from the bottom for me.
Right.
So it was not at the very bottom. And Doom Grinder was in the middle. Yeah.
Which is really saying something if the Doom Grinder.
Oh, but it was simply because he had one of the best maps that has ever been made for. That was the only reason. He got a 9 in maps. Otherwise, it would have been fairly mediocre. So, yeah.
Yeah. So another working theory I would have for Zaggix getting elevated, not only did he go to the trouble of capturing gods, worshiping Bokob, becoming his right-hand man, he also built his castle there because of the obelisk.
Right.
The obelisk purpose being to hide the Earthstone.
Right.
Yeah.
So Bokob is like diverting Zaggix's attention away. Like if he got his hands on that Earthstone, then who knows what that crazy guy would do with it, right? He could.
So what do we know about the Earthstone?
Just that was part of creation. It's a creation myth item.
Okay.
Right? Yep. So you put that in the hand of a mad archmage, and who knows what'll happen.
Well, if I recall, and if I'm wrong, correct me. You have to collect some Earthstone to go back in to repower the God Trap again, if I recall.
Oh,
that's the obelisk.
Yeah.
No, it's the obelisk that gets chipped to power the God Trap. Yes.
Yeah.
But the Earthstone is like this huge little Easter egg thing that the players aren't supposed to find.
But I thought that there were 3 things you had to collect and go on those other planes. You had to go to Beyond the Magic Mirror. You had to go to Isle of the Ape, and there's a third place you got to go. I forget where the third place is in expeditions, and you need to get those things as well. And I thought that was Earth.
Yeah. I have to reread up on that. But that does bring up another neat thing about Zaggix is demiplanes.
Yeah. True. So another alias of Bokob is Cathback. I did not know that.
Yeah. Thank you, Gary. This is awesome knowledge.
I have cultural a notable exception. Huh.
Yeah, I've heard different versions. That's an interesting theory that the gods can have different aspects in parts of the world. That makes a lot of cool sense, I think. Yeah.
So the demiplanes. Let me see if I can. I'm just going to go near the end here and just guess. I probably won't even get close. Oh, there's Vayne. I said Vayne dies twice. Yeah. See, there's Ayu's getting trapped in it again. But there's so much in here. I'm just guessing. And then there's all these encounters, and that's the one thing I don't like about it, the way things are set up. So I'm never going to find it. But like you do go to three different planes off of when you're down, way down here. And I think that's one of the lower levels. It gets deeper and deeper and deeper. And there's your buddy. There's Loris Rachnian, who's down there too. I mean, there's a lot of great stuff in that one. But yeah, GREYHAWK is a wee.
So yeah, Isle of the Ape, Demiplane.
Yep.
Dungeonland,
Demiplane.
Zagig is rather unique in how many of those he's made.
Exactly.
Sure, the other deities have them,
and that is
never heard about them.
Well, a lot of the other deities are a step away from humanity or the inhabitants of the realm of GREYHAWK, and he's not. He comes from it, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I think it's a little different, because he's
that takes me back to why he became a god again.
Exactly. That's what
GREYHAWK Ruins. There's a lot of stuff sprinkled in there, clues and evidence that he tried different means to become immortal, to extend his life, short of becoming a lich.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't want to go down that route.
He didn't want to go that route.
Yeah.
So he was trying to find any other way of extending his life because he has so many projects, I guess. And I'm wondering if Demiplanes is another way of him trying to extend his life. Like when he's in Dungeonland.
Hey, Rochick.
He doesn't.
Yeah, and it might, and in a lot of ways, I think one of the ingredients, if you want to become up there among the deities, to have your own realm and create your own space is probably one of the fundamentals in order to do so to speak.
Yeah, you gotta.
Yeah, exactly. You have to. That's one of the accomplishments. You have to have worshippers or people who fear you or something like that. But to create your own realm, your own physical thing is probably one of the stuff that is one of the hurdles that you have to get over, so to speak. Yeah.
So I know. Oh, I hate that. You're in an ad.
What?
So,
Patrick,
Patrick will save you. Patrick will give you a gift sub there, Rogue Chick, and then you won't be in an ad anymore. So, yeah, it's good to see you. So, it's Zagig is one. Hey, Rethix, what's going on? I don't have anyone who any specialty priest that worship Zagig at all.
No, I don't think so. And he's not reliable in a lot of sense. His strength is
Patrick
that he can serve Bokov and his own abilities, not that he has a bunch of worshippers. So yeah.
So let's go to this deity, which Rogue Chick will, who's kind of new to GREYHAWK and welcome. He's gonna love this deity. This is it's one of my favorites of all time too. So let's jump to this one real quick here, and Ouija, one of the best written deities ever, and it's Anna, written by our great deceased friend Leonard Lekofka.
Yes,
the goddess of magic and death, and
well,
awesome.
Ouija is one. It's fantastic. Yeah,
absolutely.
I forget who did the art for that article because I like that art.
There's an artist on here. Butler.
Okay.
Butler did a lot of stuff from Fiendfolio too, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah.
And Dark Elf, I think that is a great comment about others. And we go back to that. We circle back to that in a while. I put that question on hold here because I think it's a great aspect to when you talk about deities. So
that's true. That's true. Flawed super characters, but we got to remember Leonard's deities from the Sewell pantheon, which she is, are a little different than Gary's GREYHAWK deities. You get a different feel from them, and they're
which
much
is
more
kind of cool
specialized.
since it's a different culture and it's its own, partially its own pantheon. You can have it totally separate, or you can have it very crossover depending on how you campaign. But I like it that he has a different approach to it.
What's cool about this deity, and that's true, Dark Elf, is depending on how your campaign goes, she's got that lawful neutral aspect, but she's also got the evil aspect to her. So it can go either way. So you can come across, and I have a lot of specialty priests of Ouija in my campaign, a lot of them, and every one of them is different. Some of them are more on the necromancer side, some of them are more on the spell, want to be wizard side, It just depends. It really does. And there's a lot of sect, SECTS. We can go over on that and discuss as well, because she's truly a lawful deity. So she's not really very chaotic, and really doesn't take crap from anyone either. So it's one you don't want to mess around with. I think but she does have a thing for which god is she rumored to be in a relationship with? Noribo, yeah, which makes no sense. He's the chaotic god, yeah. Well, bad boy.
It's that law of chaos.
Yeah, the bad
And it's like any relationship.
But Ouija priests in my game are one of my favorites for. And by the way, if you how did the name Weejas come up? We know that from Len Lakofka telling us that the original name was Ouijas, Ouija board, right? Or how you spelled Ouija board. And the TSR said, nope, can't use that. That's copyrighted, so he switched it to Ouija.
I like, because I like Ouija's better. It's better, so yeah.
Like jazz.
Yeah. I think Len he has many talents, but naming is not one of his biggest, so to speak. So yeah.
Completely unrelated. Back in the day when I was doing my GREYHAWK comic in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, I did a poll of which deity was like the reader's favorites, and she ended up winning the poll.
It's one of those. If you notice, there are certain deities that make the transition, and in future they get more and more popular, like Ouija, and then there's one that disappeared, like Tritharion, right? And even though I love Tritharion, I don't get that, But I'm really upset about that. I know Anna kind of is too. What happened to Tritharion, the god of pursuit and vengeance?
Tritharion is a god that I think has huge potential, that have been so underused and disappeared basically from. So I want to slowly bring him back and start thinking more how to do it, because it's one of these Joyhidi is another one that Joyhidi is
a demigod, a demigoddess, isn't she?
Yeah, she's Iridian common. No, she's way higher in my, but that's my ranking. But yeah.
How about we do a topic on underrated gods?
Yeah, we can do that.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. We can definitely do that in the upcoming weeks.
Write that down.
So this is one of those hybrid classes where they get specialty priest spells and she gets necromancer spells, or the priest or priestess will get. So it's a mix, a very powerful class. It's also one of these where they have the spectral hand spell. They're going to be able to do touch spells through that. So like I use priest, multi-class cleric necromancers, and priestess of Ouija are the ones that can do that. But she can't command undead. She can turn them, but she can't command them. It says it specifically. She's not about raising the dead. She's about making sure the dead get interred.
Guardian of the dead.
She's a guardian of the dead. Yes. There were 2 LG mods in the Shieldlands Evolving. Very Droides neat. Yeah. Yeah. The Mask of Droides is one of those big, very popular artifacts.
Yeah, I have it that in the Sewell that she's the one that protects the dead from coming back, so to speak, and undead. She's the one that the protector of the dead, so to speak, and people from the dead as well. So she's the one that can handle death and both from a society standpoint and not solely protect you from dying, but protect you from all the horrors that can happen after you die. And she can protect cities and countries and people from other undead coming in, and relatives who passed, so to speak, and enemies and stuff. So
I want to share this because of the spheres. Thank you for Magical Donut. Thank you for the follow. This is the largest specialty priest spell list in existence. Look at all the handwritten ones in here. Look at this. It goes, the 7th goes onto another page. It's so big. Biggest by far. Out of any of my deities, she has the most spheres, Ouija. So it's a very powerful deity. And a very powerful cult and subsect, which will show in a document coming up that Eric Mona made, which has something really cool in it with Ouija. So those are the base 3 that I can think of there, Mike. Let me close out some things here. Boom, boom, Let's just go back to the box set here. Okay. So what are your thoughts? We got basically the three main magic arcane deities there are is Baka, which is basically, I guess, an Iridian god or all. Zagig, his demigod, who was an original. It's Gygax Zagig, right? And then Ouija, who's a Sul goddess, right? Then there's some others that are off the path a little bit. Knowledge, which is close, or sages, or in that realm, but they're not true arcane.
No.
Yeah. So give us one or two of those.
I think Deleb is an easy one.
Deleb, yeah.
He is knowledge, but he's just the way he's described it has a little bit of an arcane hint to him. I can't remember what Dragon magazine he's detailed in, but Deleb also interestingly I believe he carries a gun.
Deleb carries a gun just like Merlin, huh?
Yeah.
He's got some.
So you can call that whatever
tech.
You will. Magic, magitech,
magic and tech. Yeah.
I mean, so for that matter, maybe Merlin is kind of mad, arcane of a hero god, but
not maybe has some spell casting ability, but it's not his main gist. So
now,
here comes Mike Disney in.
Hello.
What's going on, Mike? I gotta find
Lydia is also knowledge, but debatably, does it have anything to do with arcane? Maybe it's more divine.
And Lydia's a soul deity. I think it's I don't think it goes into magic as much. I think Ouija is the magic goddess out of
she's
the
music.
Soul. Yeah. Of course, Mike. Oh, I hit up a second one. Sorry, I didn't mean to shout myself out right after you. It was an accident. I hit it wrong.
Now, another debatable one, like Istis. Istis is divination.
Right.
Yeah.
Now,
so
is this a arcane kind of divination, or is this?
I think you can use arcane magic to find out things about the world. So in that sense, I guess it's magic and arcane. Yeah.
Yeah. Although Bakub, one of his spheres is also foresight, divination, and whatnot. So it's like he seems to have everything covered, magic related.
Yeah.
By the way, classic D&D reprints tonight. You get your choice of, we'll get you 2 out. So look out for that. Exclamation point drawing to get in on it. If you're out of the continental U.S., I will send you Troller Games gift certificates. Where the hell are my? Whoops! I once again I accidentally shouted myself out. There we go. There it is. Exclamation point drawing. Everyone's eligible. So
yeah, Cyril could have been
Cyril.
Fake magic. She's giving lies.
Hip's killing me. Okay. So
in the Living GREYHAWK campaign, they had a deity list of a bunch of stuff, and then they are sliced and diced in various different things. And magic is one of the spheres and god aspects, so to speak. And there is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 8, 19 gods and under magic. So
damn,
they have magic sphere. Don't have that aren't main magic. Yeah.
No, but their magic is part of their portfolio, so to speak. And Anam is when that is a giant god of magic that has magic in its spheres. That's another one.
Who is it?
Anam.
I don't even know who that is.
No, I never heard of it either.
I've never heard of that deity.
So it was one of the ones that was probably invented for the Living GREYHAWK campaign. So
listen along.
Yeah.
Hope you had a nice stream.
Yeah. And Corellon Larethan is mentioned here, and that kind of makes sense because elves are inherently magic, or at least their arcane abilities above average, so that their greater main god might have some.
But there wasn't a specific.
Exactly. There was not specific god.
Elven, but there is one.
Okay, that's a good to
There
say.
is
What
one.
do we have on elves and
All right,
magic
so let
gods?
me go
So
to
yeah.
Dragon 155.
Oh,
All right,
cool.
so and I know you've used these before too. So if we go
We have
to,
yeah,
these are an addition here, Dragon 155. All right,
yeah.
um, and of course I just lost my spot there. Let me just scroll down here. Where do we got? Page 20, the Elfin Gods. All right, there's four deities in here now.
Yeah.
We use all of them in my campaign because really they fill some holes.
hmm
They fill some
There's a
holes.
couple of
Yeah.
elven ones made mentioned in the LG list here, so we'll see. Let's probably take it from here.
So
Yeah.
Aerolith the Theranol is a big one in my campaign. It's a Drow Hunter, God of Light. All
Yeah.
right. All right.
Not particularly magic. It's not her
No, but the
thing
next one
particularly.
is.
Yeah.
This
Oh,
one
yeah.
right here, Kirith Sothavil, um, Goddess of Magic. That's exactly what she is.
Ah,
So
they forgot about that one in the Living Greyhawk, so that's awesome. Yep.
yeah. So a really cool deity here. What's up, Curtis?
Yep.
Yeah, it probably is a snow elf issue. Yeah, because it's an elven issue. You're right, Curtis. Absolutely. So, by the way, everyone, just since Curtis is on, because he hops on and off because he's probably. Are you driving, Curtis? You're probably home by now, right?
Off. Yeah.
Yeah. So, just note.
It's only 5 here, so yep.
Yeah. Double header Saturday at noon. Curtis will be game mastering our champion superheroes game with Coco, the Ever Mysterious Tim, Brett, and myself playing, and that'll be at 12, and then 6 o'clock will be Ed Greenwood's game. So we got a nice double shot here. So
This is
yeah,
awesome that
yeah.
we
So
have Kirith Sotheril.
yeah,
Yeah.
and look, her plane's Olympus, so a lot of elves hang out with the
But
Greek gods there.
yeah, but this shows the nature of the Living Greyhawk campaign. There was some awesome stuff done, but they also missed a lot of cool
Yeah.
stuff that was around, which is kind of yeah. So it's a hit and miss when it comes to Living Greyhawk.
Now I haven't created a specialty priest of this because no one's asked. That doesn't mean I won't do it in the future, right? But it says here, she likes prismatic spheres.
Yeah, I have
Good and
her
neutral
in my
mages
list.
make up the bulk of her worshippers, as would expected. All of her clerics are also members of the mage class, which is neat. So that tells me, right there, if I'm making up a specialty priest, I'm making one up like Ouija, where they have mage ability, like Ouija ones have necromancer ability. So right from there, I'm going to be,
Yeah,
it's going to be a neat mix of a
yeah,
specialty priest.
yeah. I have
So
her as a divine rank 6 in
okay,
my ranking.
all
Yeah.
right, and she's the lesser goddess. So yeah,
Yep, exactly. So she's that
yeah.
part
So
there.
there you
Yep.
go. And there's Naris. There's also a god of the dead here. That's Naris Aaron. Naris Analor. I can't even say the name. So there, yeah. So there's multiple deities here for you to take a look at, and that's something that there's a magic one. Now there's other magic gods we won't go into that are in Deities and Demigods First Edition. That if you use them, great.
Yeah.
Some of them. I would say that even Leviator's Pain, with a little magic aspect to her. There's a couple others. Myliki is druids, but it's got a magical aspect. But I don't think they're true mages, true arcanes. So, Mike, your
I
thoughts?
think, well, no, I hadn't really thought of, the
Outside of
other
the pantheon
outside
of Greyhawk,
pantheons,
yeah,
yeah. But
absolutely.
Caius is the demigod of undead creation. So
Yeah. That
is that arcane or is that divine?
I'd say
it,
that's necromantic divine, right?
well, yeah, divine primarily, I think, but even in Arcane, you can do it. You can animate
Yeah,
undead
you can.
both ways.
A
Yeah,
lot of people
for
don't
me,
realize
there's a
that.
difference. Yeah, for me, it's a different. If you take a skeleton or a body and you animate them, then they become
Right.
animated skeleton body. But if you turn them into undead, they are different type of creatures with different abilities and stuff. So they can look the same when you meet them, but they are different. Yeah.
So, Gary mentioned Vecna.
Yeah. which I think we need to mention because Vecna is such a huge thing
Yeah, let's
in
just
D&D
mention
community.
him because it's
Yeah,
such
we
a
need to.
Because
huge
it's so
topic.
overblown now as it is, right?
Well, it depends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he did carve out his own place in the Arcane pantheon.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
You know, yes, he
Oh
started
yeah.
mortal,
What page are
then he became a
duties on
lich,
in this
then he
book?
became a lesser god
164.
or whatever.
Hmm.
He's got that niche, be it evil magic or magic secrets or whatever it is.
Yeah,
Almost there.
he's the god of secrets and stuff. But yeah, so
Or just liches, by
There we go.
virtue of being arcane, he's like the arch lich. He's
yeah.
the big lich.
All right.
But I don't see him as a demigod of magic particularly. No.
And for all of you who do not know, Vecna is an original GREYHAWK
Yeah.
baddie lich.
And I don't think we should use him less or talk about him less just because a lot of others in the
Right.
D&D community use him more, so to speak. So
Yeah. So this quote here, no matter how powerful a being is, there exists a secret that can destroy him. In every heart, there's a seed of darkness, hidden from all others. Find that evil seed, and your enemies are undone. Strength and power come if you know and control what others dare not show. Never reveal all that you know, or your enemies will take your seed too. Is that like his ethos to his worshippers?
to some degree, and I have it that it's mechanically interesting because Vecna can figure out true names of creatures, and when you have the true name of creatures, that opens up the possibility of controlling
Yeah.
them, killing them, harming them,
Okay.
yeah, spying on them, all sorts of stuff. So that's one of Vecna's secret weapon. He's really
got the
good
wrong
at figuring
thing
out
down here.
true names of creatures.
Sorry about
And
that.
so if he gets a hold of you and you get him in his sights, he will figure it out, and then you're in trouble, so to speak.
Whoops.
Ah,
Sorry about that. I'm on the second page on that, and I had still had Erroneous and Hexter down there. Always miss something. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't go beyond, and I know Jason Zavoda, another past person in our community, always hated how the Vecna bloat became, and it's like he
Well,
should
it
keep.
doesn't bother me. I have
No.
no problem with others using Greyhawk
Right.
stuff. I
No,
have no problem
what
with
I'm
that.
talking
Yeah.
about is going from the remnants of Vecna, the stories about Vecna, cool. The lore is unbelievable of Vikas and Vecna, but Vecna is now this big god, right? You know what I mean? I think that
Yeah.
Jason had an issue with that. I just like Vecna doesn't come into play in my campaign setting that much because I don't want it to go there. You know, I may run a historical Vecna scenario back in Fleeth or in the Rotting
Yeah,
Tower
and
area once down the road, like I did with the
yeah.
Hateful Wars. But I
And
just
I Yeah, and I think
that's in the
there's so
past.
much cool stuff you can do with Vecna in Greyhawk, the Greyhawk version of Vecna, and develop him, so to speak, without paying much attention. You can, of course, you can take inspiration from all sorts of other Vecna stuff, but I think Vecna deserves more cool cred in Greyhawk. You can do cool stuff with him, and use him as one of the many villains you can use in Greyhawk. So yeah.
So Patrick, we're not ignoring Saint Cuthbert, but he's not magic.
No, I have him as very down to earth in that sense. Very
Yeah.
the opposite of arcane magic.
No, he's
Wielding.
completely.
Yeah. He's
And
the one that
no
will.
backsliding and his followers, all that. Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yeah, and I have it as the god for
yeah.
the masses who need hope, help, control, and keep the ordinary folks in order, and both from
Yeah, Jack Vance.
a positive standpoint, meaning helping them, supporting them, but also from a making sure the mob doesn't go wild and do crazy things kind of thing too. So there's
Yep.
both a slight oppressive side, but also a very benevolent side to Cuthbert.
Patrick, a lot of and Cuthbert's stuff is mental control spells. It's just in spell form, like beguiling and things like that, right? And
Yeah.
I don't think that's arcane. I think it's
No, I have it
Yeah,
exact. Yeah.
yeah. It's an arcane spell, but they're in clerical form, right?
Mhm.
Beer. That's funny. Hexter's based on Sam. Yeah, no, I don't think so. So, yeah.
So we got these
4. Well,
4 gods that I'm comparing here: Bakub, Zagig, Vichas, Vecna. 1E stats. I just have a few 1E stats I gotta throw out
let's
in
do it.
comparison.
Mhm.
All right. Now, the 1E stats for Vecna are from Vecna Lives, where there is a manifestation
Yeah.
of Vecna. I will assume this is an avatar or whatever goes as the, the most potent version of him. So anyhow, intelligence. Bakub is a 26.
Yeah.
That's like off the scales, right?
There you go.
Um,
Shit. Sorry.
Zagig, 23.
Mhm.
Wrong button.
Wrong button. Right?
Yep. So Zagig, pretty damn smart, 23. Ouija's 24. Yeah, all right. So she's kind of in between the two. Vecna, only a 20. Only a 20 intelligence. I'm disappointed in him. All right. Wisdom, 20 for Baka,
Right.
17 for Zagig. I think that
Mhm.
would have been a little lower. Ouija's is only 17. And Vecna, 18.
Yeah. But I have it that he's more street smart than super
Ah,
intelligent, so to
there you
speak.
go.
Yeah, he can befool people, and he's more the con man of the gods rather than the ultra genius who plot out things. So yeah,
So,
All right. And then last thing, charisma, because Ouija's. So
yeah,
Bakub has a 20 charisma. Very influential guy. Zagig, an 18.
not
So
bad, but
maybe,
not
yeah.
but divine
People like
standards
his
probably
humor.
not that high. Yeah,
Yeah. And Ouija's only a 20. I'm very disappointed that she
yeah,
wasn't higher, but
yeah.
and then Vecna a 13. He
Well,
still
yeah,
manages a 13.
he's yeah.
Yeah.
But Vecna doesn't go to your face, so to speak, in that sense. He
Yeah.
works from a little bit of a distance,
yeah.
I guess. He doesn't trust his own abilities that way when it comes to personal
But so
get. Yeah.
so I'll say this, Curtis, it's a great question. I'm probably gonna be the only one in this entire room that and I'm not talking about just where I am here, that believes this, but for me, I loved what they did with the priests, and it made it so easy to create those specialty priest classes if you knew what was going on. Right, it just made it so much easier to create spell lists, abilities, everything like that. So that's why I got like 50 of them. Right, I hated the mage way they did mages. Hated the way they tried to specialize spellcasters with diviners, invokers. I
Oh,
don't know.
okay. You didn't like that.
I love the elementalists and I love wild mages, but I
Well,
can't.
then you have a few specialists, but
But
no
they're
love for
not.
the other ones.
But they're not based on. They're not based on just a type of spell. They're not all invocation spells.
No,
They're
but you can have diviners. That's an awesome, cool, like an oracle or someone.
yeah, but that's I would just make an oracle. I wouldn't make a.
Yeah,
You know
but
what I mean?
oracle is someone who's specializing in divine spells.
No, that's
Okay.
not true because an oracle may have other abilities, right?
Oh yeah,
They
I'm
may
not
have
saying that.
clerical
It's like
abilities too in an oracle
yeah.
class, and there is an
Okay.
oracle
Yeah.
class in a dragon. And that's all I'm saying is that I don't know. I didn't like
No,
it.
it's simply I think for me the class thing is so stereotypical that
Right, and
I've
you've gone
ditched it.
away
Yeah.
from that, but for me,
Yeah.
it's the
So
bread and butter of our
it's more like a
campaign.
title in the world, so to speak. And
Yeah,
oracles are they know how to. If you're good oracle, then you know a lot of divine spells, and you're good at using it. So
right,
figure things
and
out. Yeah.
that divine spell may be arcane, or it may also be
Exactly. That might
clerical.
be. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
Some of them might be divine. Some of them might know
yeah,
arcane, and some of
yeah.
them might
Thanks, Cal
be
Steph.
both, so to speak. So yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Hmm.
That
Yeah,
you know
but that is how you run the game and how
yeah,
you see
absolutely,
mechanics to function. So
hundred
one is
percent.
not more right than the
There
others.
is
It's just
no
two
two
different approaches. Yeah.
no two DMs are alike, and no two DMs are
Yep.
right or wrong.
Hmm.
It's just
Yep.
that's the charm of D&D. It's just
Yeah.
I'm set in
And
my ways for
classes
45
have
years.
yeah, and classes has a its home in D&D because it makes the game
Yeah,
flow and easy to understand and easy to run in that sense. So in many sense. So yeah,
yeah,
in a lot of ways. Yeah.
yeah. Mike, yeah, but the opposed ones don't make sense in some instances, and that's why I would prefer a specialized, like a fire elementalist or an air elementalist, or that's where I'd
Yeah, I
rather
did.
go.
Yeah, I
Which is
didn't
what
go
I've done.
into making them the opposed ones. You have to sacrifice something, but you
Yeah,
can specialize in different schools. In my rules, you
fair
can.
enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can definitely specialize in. And
Yeah.
also, I introduced there is one school for healing spells, clemency. I added that one. So necromancy is for things that harms you and stuff like that.
So you took
And
it a step.
clemency.
Okay. You see.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was what I wanted to do for both third edition and fourth edition. It was something they toyed around with and then said, no, we're not going to do it. So
Yeah,
I was like,
because
yeah.
they were like, oh, that's going to get rid of clerics, a lot of healing
Well,
clerics.
it will also be no, it's not from that standpoint, but it was like probably complicated things and so on. So they wanted to be traditionalists. So it was been around several times, but I kind of went with it and said that okay,
No,
because
man.
it was hard because healing spells have been many different classes or schools depending on what edition of D&D. So I thought I'll end it once and for all, so to speak, and say they're their own school. And the spell school for me is like how you cast it, what mythology you're using, and tools and stuff like that. So that's the because both arcane and divine can use the same school in that sense. So yeah, and that can be you can learn a school of spells, but you can have different sources for spells too.
Once again,
So
you're like breaking an atom down into its components.
yep. I want
Yeah.
a lot of flavor and simple mechanics. That's how I want. Yep.
We didn't.
Uh-oh. Oh, we lost power. Yep.
No, you lost your internet connection. Not
Worked here.
not
Yep.
here. Turn your phone on and off. It's my son. That's weird. It looks like we're still alive.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
no drop
At least
frames. That's just
yeah.
strange.
Hang in there.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the router looks good. It's on his end then. So, yeah, and that's another thought on that. Yeah, that's so it's him. All right, so what can happen, like advantages and disadvantages in the world of the arcane? Probably it's really strange when you think there's barely any use of one like vodka, but there's a ton of use of Ouija. People love Ouija.
Yeah. But
Love it. Yeah.
yeah, but it also makes sense from an
Yeah.
in campaign setting perspective,
Let me see
meaning
if I can find
Ouija
this.
might be a god of that way more of the general population, especially in the Seoul parts
Yep.
of the world of GREYHAWK can be they know about her, they want her protection and her
The
help and
law,
stuff. Yeah.
and she's not uncaring.
Yeah. But the
That's
god
funny.
of magic that very few people know about and understand, and a god that doesn't care, that doesn't give you a large fan base, so to speak.
Bakub is pretty
Trying to
damn
get you
close
to
to
see
your overgod that you were
Yeah.
mentioning earlier.
like
He's
Istis. Istis is like the same way a little bit, isn't
yeah,
it?
he
There we
should
go.
be just a
I found it.
generally
Yeah.
not worshipped god, but he's just a
Yeah.
god that everyone accepts.
Yeah. Yeah, meaning Bokob is
Um,
the C-suite
yeah.
management consultant, and Ouijas is the mega church priest that goes around and have huge fan base. Yeah.
Now I got a couple like 3.5 era stuff about these gods that
Yeah.
I found interesting. These are from the Dragon magazines that Sean Reynolds did,
Yep.
the core belief stuff.
Oh
Now,
yes.
magic
Do you
on
have
Earth.
numbers?
Magic on Earth. So there's some really nice like myths and heresies here.
Mm-hmm.
One being Baka worshippers say the more magic items you make, the more spells you cast, the more you keep magic flourishing. But then there's a heretical side of his religion where the more spells you cast, you're just depleting it. It's a finite resource. The more so they're saying you should not cast spells.
So they're like,
You should hoard it.
I'm assuming the silent ones are part of that sect.
Maybe, yeah.
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 Okay. That makes total sense.
So you will
Yeah.
go around limit
Sun,
the
yeah.
knowledge of
Yeah,
arcane
Michael.
spell casting if you're that part of the
That's
Now, along the
interesting. That's
same
really interesting.
vein, Reynolds made a cool myth on Ouija that she removed, we'll just say for, figuratively, the protective bubble over the Sewell Imperium. She let the Reign of Colorless Fire destroy her people for the sin of maybe abusing their power. She is a lawful god, and maybe if the mages of power were just abusing that power chaotically, or were following a chaotic emperor or something, maybe she got mad and she was just like, fine, let the backlash destroy it. She stepped back. That I thought that was a good myth.
Interesting. Yeah,
And
I mean, there's a lot of infernal demons and devils that have a lot of arcane ability there, Mike. I don't know if we do delve into that enough.
no, but that's another topic also. How
Yeah.
do you treat the demon lords? I treat them as gods. They are deities in their own right, so to speak.
Yeah.
And but I would not have Asmodeus as a particularly magical god per se.
Okay.
But he definitely has huge powers, and he's I have Asmodeus as one. He doesn't work directly. He has under deities that work for him. The other lords of hell and Tiamat and a whole bunch of other ones. So
Okay.
Well, here's a thought
yeah.
though. Demons and devils, though, a lot of the stuff that involves like summoning them,
Mm-hmm.
trapping them, and all that stuff, demonology, egg wolf, that's all arcane stuff. So I could see where, you'd
Mm-hmm.
think maybe devils and demons are
Yeah.
more arcane. That's all.
Oh yeah, and also in my rules, then divine spells, any spell can be divine by Nate, because if a god knows it, that magic can give that magic to his devotees. So
Yeah.
divine magic is not limited by the spells that way. It's limited
Yeah.
by what spells the power, patron power you have
Yeah.
as a divine caster.
Like
So
teleportation.
exactly.
It's
So
arcane, but
yeah.
the
Hmm.
gods do it.
Yeah.
Exactly. So any spells, almost any spell, there are a few exceptions, but almost every spell can be divine, but the limitations is not technically what can be divine magic, because most can be. It's the your patron deity can only give so much and of what they know and want to share with you, so to speak. And you have the capability of understanding and using properly. So that means in that sense, divine magic is more limited than arcane magic is, but arcane magic is more technically limited because you can.
It's a
Yeah.
good question. And once again, I don't like turning them into in back and forth, but absolutely, it has happened. Right? There's a lot of spells that are like that. Um, that cross over
Yeah.
between that arcane world and
Yeah.
the divine world. Number one is animate dead, but I know you could take fireball, and if it's a fire deity, you could turn that
Hmm.
into a
Exactly.
divine
Yeah.
spell. But I
Yeah.
just it's just I'd rather it be called something else, like fire from the god or something. You know what I mean? I just
Oh yeah, but we also have to remember
yeah.
back in old school, the division was so you can keep them mechanically separated a bit, and power level fairly even. And since the cleric could wear armor and do a whole bunch of other cool stuff, and more hit points, that meant that you have to limit their magic a bit. So you couldn't have them walking around being as powerful as wizards, or arcane casters, because that
Right.
would be unfair in that sense. So I totally get it. My limitations in my rules are more thematic in that sense, that the deity has a lot of reasons to not give you more than what they want, or able to, what you can handle. So the
Okay, Rob.
limitations come not from mechanical limitations in the rule, but more thematic limitations. And the arcane is more mechanically limited in that sense.
Got your shout out there, Rob. Waste not one. That's funny. So
Yeah.
let's show this. I think this is going to show how much love there is for. If I can find it, this is and this when we talk about
Yeah.
document publications, this may be a top tenner. This thing is unbelievable. This Age of Worms Overload. You can still find it
Hmm.
and downloads if you know where to look. But this is the entire campaign overload for the entirety of Age of Worms setting, right? Which is
Yeah, I mean, 12 issues,
right.
12
There's a whispering cave.
supported articles. That's a lot.
Yeah. Now, what I'm doing in this is I'm hoping to find, and I did in the table of contents.
And the Diamond Lake.
Yeah, there's an entirety of a what is the sect in here? Anyone? Is it the sect of the Green Lady?
Green Lady.
Right? Yeah. It's a Green Lady, isn't it? That is in Diamond Lake here. An aspect of
yeah.
Ouija. And it's not one of the nicer sects, SECTS, of her. But so here's the rumors in Diamond Lake. But I know that they're active in this area during no, it has nothing to do with the Ebon Triad there, BB. It's not part of that. I know.
Yeah, there's a Green Lady thing in Diamond Lake.
Yeah, it's an entire subsect of Ouija that
I can't remember what the
gets very visceral, and they're not the nicest of Ouija.
He does have a lot of titles. I like that.
Yeah, I'm looking to see if any of these here are here. I'm scrolling through and see.
So, is this published in a Dragon or a Dungeon or where?
This was actually an independent download.
Okay.
Yeah, and you may be able to, and if you don't have it, let me see.
I might have it. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah.
These are all the characters.
I might have it, but I'm searching. So
here's Amaris. I think Amaris is one of them. Yeah, here it is. Hook. Listen to the virtues of the Green Lady, right? Okay, so she's one of the sect leaders, Amaris, right here. All right, and it's a subgroup of Ouija priests. Yeah. Now, Jade Lady, is it the Jade? Well, they call it the Green Lady here. So, one of the infernal gods of the humanoids had limited spell lists in the DMG. Shamans and Witchjackers. Well, yes, Calstaff, and we had a discussion a couple weeks ago on that and how I've kind of run with that. And there's no Green Lady from the Doom Grinder. Please don't say that word, Doom Grinder. I'm just kidding. Yeah, it is very painful. It's a joke, but you can take any deity and you can do a specific, and especially with an arcane one, go more the necromancer route, go more of the yeah. I know we need more. Always have more Ouija lore, which is good to have. But in here, I know it was a specific group of priestesses that were causing trouble in the area of Diamond Lake, and I am assuming that because it's in Diamond Lake, Eric Mona wrote it. We had Eric on Sunday night, so yeah, that's. Sending a response back. Awesome. It's great to hear.
One of her other titles, if you look in, I don't know if it's the box set or elsewhere, it's the Stern Lady. And that had me wondering, just because of that specific word, is Ouija supposed to be what became Sternalia?
That's a good point. It's a good question.
I mean, I'm just drawing the inferences, but it's a very specific word. Mm-hmm. And the only thing that Alia sprung from was a pre-generated character from a module that maybe was supposed to be Ouija's.
It's possible. It's possible. Once again, a lot of stuff that happens in the GREYHAWK campaign gets back converted.
Right.
Right? Yeah. Always happens. Always happens. So, Paizo. Oh, look, there you go. Sarah Cenas found it for you, Anna. Just download it right from there.
Awesome.
It's still available.
Perfect.
It's still available. That's good.
Awesome.
So, Gary overexposed.
It's great. Thank you.
Yeah. It's something that Ouija is overexposed. I love the deity. So really, we're only talking about 3, unless someone else here wants to throw in another one. But I don't think there is any other ones that we would really consider in the
I'm
Arcane realm.
pretty satisfied with what we got.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, there's enough to compare on just the few.
So now I know Anna said she wanted to go back to something with the abilities on the deities, and I want to talk about that as well. Let me close out some of these. I got way too many things open, and I'm gonna crash. Close out. Let's close out. I can close out that one. Okay, cool. Yeah, Stern Alley would never go out looking like that. That's funny. So Anna, as far as I know, I want to ask this. So
Yeah.
I hate to go back to this healing thing, but I'm going to do it.
Oh yeah, that's interesting.
If the deity, if the worshiper of Ouija,
Mm-hmm.
because I think healing's a major sphere for them. Let me take a look. There's an easy way to know that. Nope, it's minor because they don't have healing circle. Okay, so it's minor. They would get in my list here of Ouija. They would get healing circle. That's how you can tell. Oh, they do have healing circle. They do have it. They did. It was added in. That's how old this list is. So they do have major sphere of healing. So if the Ouija worshippers are lawful neutral, she can heal. The priest can heal. But if they go to lawful evil, they can't. Correct?
Well, it's not the alignment of the creature, because creatures don't have alignments in that sense. Alignment is more like a taint. If you worship a god or some powerful being that lives in the netherworld, you stink of evil, so to speak. So that's how it works. So there could be people who go around and have no evil tint or taint, but they can go around doing despicable stuff, and that doesn't necessarily make them evil per se. It's when you align yourself with a critter or some power that draws their power from the netherworld, so to speak. That's what caused the stuff. And some gods, and there are workarounds. You can be, for instance, a cleric of Ius, for instance. You have no healing ability. Ius can't give you healing ability, but you can learn primal magic, because all you need to do is understand nature and draw on that a bit, and that might work, so to speak. But if Ius finds it, he might see it either as useful, or he might see it as you being a heretic or something like that too. So there are ways around it. So within Ius was first like, no, you don't go around and have any other gods but me, so to speak, total loyalty. But then as things progressed, he might look between or see between the fingers or whatever. I don't know what you say, but that was me trying to translate from Swedish. But he might overlook certain aspects of his followers and let them get away with things. But if it gets out of hand, he will probably purge, because he will be terrified of druidism and flan gods and stuff like that getting into his underlings, so to speak. So it's more like a power struggle between the gods in that sense of control and power and influence and stuff. So it's
cool
not
enough.
a personal alignment of the cleric. It's more like where the gods get its power from. That's where it comes from. Yeah.
Well, no, definitely Calsteph. I'm just asking that question because Ouija is one of those deities that, like Hextor, that can really slide between lawful neutral, lawful evil, right? And there's a fair number of them, just like Cuthbert slides from lawful good to lawful neutral.
Mm-hmm.
We won't talk about Foltest.
I certainly have them that I would have a god can't align themselves both with a positive world, so to speak, the upper planes and the lower at the same time. But they can definitely be neutral and evil, or go between good and neutral. Yeah, definitely. Yep.
Okay.
So not necessarily all clerics and cults of Ouija might not be evil, and some of them are.
I agree. I agree on that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I agree
and
on
that is also that you can. I want variety in my game. So one Ouija's cleric and cult will not be a cookie cutter of the other ones, so to speak. So they can be different.
No, 100%, 100%, and that's the way it works within player characters.
Yeah.
Like two priests of two elven priests of Sol or Thalander or the elven god of archery, you're going to be probably
Exactly.
have a different style of play.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yep.
And living Greyhawk regions, Duchy of Ernst, he was elven paladin of Ouija named Death. That person got a lot of grief. I thought that was hilarious. That's funny.
Or, yeah, and that we can have lawful good deities that can be overzealous. I think it's a phenomena that I think could be
Well,
not
zealotry,
common, but it could
yeah.
definitely happen.
I don't know. I don't know if zealotry goes into lawful evil or not in the game, but that's an argument for conjecture.
I think
What do you got there, Mike,
overzealotry
from
is
Melcott?
yeah.
Chris Perkins post. What is
Oh.
that?
It's an old comic.
Oh yeah. All right, check that out, everyone.
Oh yes.
2007.
Wow,
Gee.
I finally discovered what will cause other Earth's future decline or magic. Is it something called the spell plague?
Yes. Ooh,
The
The
spell
awesome.
plague.
That's funny. Don't. Yeah, I don't know if show that to Ed.
Instead of
Oh,
ours.
no,
and,
what will we
yeah,
do? This
that's
comedy. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, that's
some
awesome.
other world
Yep.
instead of ours.
Mhm.
That's funny. That's a good one, Mike. Yeah. So,
I remember that one. That was
by the way,
such a good
everyone,
one.
you get to see Ed Saturday night.
Oh, cool. Yep.
Ed and a huge group. I got 8 players for Saturday. That's okay. Nothing's going to happen. We'll show that at the end of the event, at the end of the discussion. So, any questions from the audience or any other thoughts on this?
Yeah, things that we haven't covered yet, or something we should. Yeah.
I think some of these gods have some cool magic items associated with them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Give us a couple.
All right. Well, Unearth Arcana is your go-to.
Yeah.
Or you have the new magic item compendium from
Right, but
Carthan.
no, it's
It's
too
not
big.
out yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's,
Rick's
it's too big.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Unearthed will get you there. Let me get mine up here.
Yeah, I criminally underused that book because there's some great Greyhawk specific items in there.
Yeah.
God oversees dreams. I don't think so, man. For nothing I'm aware of. All right, what do we got, Mike?
Like Bakub's Blessed
The
Book.
book, yeah.
Which should be every
Yes.
wizard's wish list.
And it is a big magic item in my campaign, and I'll explain why.
There you go.
All right, let me get to it.
Bye, Brian.
That's it. Did Anna say she wanted to bring up something? I mentioned about the nature of the gods and animism.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we could. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We'll come back to that. So yeah.
Give me 1 second here. Too many spells. Too many spells. Too many spells. The Bakub's Blessed Book. That's a home run. So, if you know how I use spell books, there's a thing called the Traveling Spell Book, which kind of created in first edition. I don't know if it's used anymore in other editions, but you don't want to take your good spell book out with you and get it blasted by a fireball, and then you lose all your spells. So in my game, you usually keep those spell books at home, and you take the here it is, Bakub's Blessed Book. You take what's called a traveling spell book. Well, you're allowed to have a traveling spell book of levels. Did travelings come out of Arcane? I mean, that shows you how old I am there, Michael. You know, all of us, right? So the traveling spell book alone, you can have 6 spells of 1st, 2nd, and 3rd level, 4 spells of 4th, 5th, and 6th, and 2 spells of 7th or 8th. No 9ths ever in a traveling spell book, and you take that along, and that's what your spells come out of. This is the Uber traveling spell book, magical. It can hold up to 45 levels of spells in addition. So in addition to having your traveling spellbook, you could have technically 30 first level spells in this and 10 seconds and a 5th or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You have a ton of spells in it. So
cool.
Yeah. And that's a great remembrance there, Mike, on that. Yeah. So yep, absolutely, very cool. Yeah.
There's also the Ring of Bakub.
The Ring of Bakub, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And the Ring of Bakub is also in here, right? Go back up to rings. Where is it? No, it's not in here. Oh, it's rods. Yeah, it's still going up. Here, Ring of Bakub. Here we go. Here it comes. It's coming. Ring of Bakub. Right there. Yep. So, this is, it's hard to even detect this, but it has gives you saves against stuff you should know, right? Explain, Mike, if you want to on this one. This one gives you special saves, if I
I
recall.
am not versed on it. I have to look it up.
Yeah. So what it does is whenever the wearer is assailed by a magical device that it could cause it to malfunction, it could cause it to fail, or it can actually drain it and turn it into a non-magical item, and then that ring doesn't function anymore. So this is a very, very powerful.
I think it cancels out magic effects or magic
Yeah,
item effects.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. But it's a super powerful. I don't think I've ever given one of these out in a campaign. By the way, there's certain things I don't like giving out, like this and volley items with spells, like a ring of spell turning. I can't stand. It's so
Backup items
overpowered.
are, I would consider them artifacts because they're named in that sense. So they're not.
The Blessed Book is utilitarian, so I don't consider that an
Okay.
artifact.
Uh-huh.
They're
Right.
artifacts, and then when you go to the section of that same book with Zagig's items.
Right, Zagig's Flowing Flagon is one, right?
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
not
But
consider that.
yeah,
an
and there
artifact.
is also Backups Dust of Maximization from Dragon Magazine 294.
Ooh,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
What
that's
does that
rare.
do? Because I do not know that.
Oh, it can do used as an extra material component. That means that you can it causes way more damage. So it's a component booster, so to speak.
Well, that's funny because Zagig's spell component case is here too.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a spell
Okay.
component right here, along with Zagig's Flowing
Yeah.
Flagon, which is a magical drinking vessel, which is perfect. The funny thing is that it has, if I recall, it has toast phrases. Yep. Recitation of the magical toasting words caused the flagon to fill with good tasting but rather weak wine.
Yeah.
Yummy. But that's a cool, some cool RP items there. Yeah, good catches, Mike, on those.
Yeah, we
Absolutely.
have a tomb-bound Eye of Bokab from the Magic Item Compendium for 3.5.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You need one, Calstef, in your D&D game or personally? Because that's a big difference.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah, yeah. A Zagig's Prison. How can we forget a Zagig's Prison?
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That's an artifact.
Yeah.
A prison.
Now,
It's not called a Zagig's Prison. It's called a Prison of Zagig, and that should be in here as well. Here it is. So the Prison of Zagig first appears in Lost Caverns of Shokanth. There's also one in Expeditions to the Ruin of Greyhawk, and you do not want to get trapped in one of those prisons of Zagig because time basically stops for you, and then you're like it's like a small cage or miniaturized. You're there, and you could be there forever. So yeah.
it's funny Gary should bring up the
Hey,
obvious
Sage.
one, Zagig's Prison, because there's two other Zagig items that are Gary creations.
Oh, really?
Gary and Rick creations. Dragon 359.
Wow. Let's see if I have it. I bet you I do.
You got the Robe of the Mad Archmage, and you got the Yara Journey Signet, which are both items that are from like his mortal career, like before he became a god, that
Yeah.
are still associated with him.
Let me see if I have 359 on my machine. If I don't, I do. I thought I did.
Journey.
Because I know I used some of the magic. Isn't this the one with Merlin's hat in it? And I gave that out?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. 70. This is Gary Puffett Smedger in chat right there. Gary Holian and Rick Miller's Dewey Carthon if he shows up. And there's Eric. There's Ed afterwards, Wizard 3. So let's go to page 70.
The final issue.
Yeah, I know. Lots of final issues that came up in this time frame, which is really disappointing. What are you going to do? Oh, I went too far. Baseland, Elminster. Stuff as much in as you can, everyone, at this time frame. Here we go. Here's Treasures of Greyhawk.
I can't remember what the items do specifically, but I like the background lore on them. Namely, if
yes,
someone can
we've been
find the
this-
ring they instantly become the highest ranking noble in the city of Greyhawk.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the magic of the company is 7. Yep, Heward's Bell, Heward's Lyre of Truth, um, Keatom's Staff of Purification, Keatom's Spidery Map, Merlin's Hat. Remember, during the fundraiser, when I used the frickin' Dragonborn everyone gave me shit for, they had Merlin's Hat on, and Merlin's Hat went into the campaign. There it is. So we got Merlin's cowboy hat in the campaign now. His whip, Nozzle's Orb, Quall's Cloak, Robe of the Mad Archmage. Here it is. This was once the possession of the Grey Savant, reputedly a mystic theurge of Bakub. So it's a robe of blending and also has spell resistance and armor
Kind of a
class.
Bakub item. That
Yeah, it's definitely a Bakub item. And Zaggy actually wore it.
Yep.
So,
He inherited it.
yeah.
And then someone else must have got it from there.
So very cool article if you guys and gals out there want to.
And I'm sure every one of them will be in Rick's coming.
Yeah, these are all in Rick's
publication.
upcoming
Yeah.
publication.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And there's a picture of it. It's white. Very cool. Here's your Guaranteed Signet. And there's another Zagic item. So let's check out about this one here. The oversized ancient golden ring bears the silver hawk crescent of the Guarani family, which is Zagig's, line on his large flat top. Family lineage on his, yeah. So let's see what this does. Zagig wore the signet for considerable time. Yep. Okay, you're right. Could be recognized as the highest ranking noble in the Free City. Certain ancients. So there's only this is a unique item. Both those are unique items.
Yep. And then there's the Robilar part.
The Robar placed a bounty of 5,000 because he wanted it.
50,000.
Yeah.
That's
excellent.
That would make a good quest. Nah. Tasha. Yes.
So a lot of these ancient these things are great one-offs. You can even run it, run just to get in your campaign, So, and look, it talks about Expedition to Ruins of Greyhawk. These magic percentage can easily be used as part of Expedition to Ruins of Greyhawk, which is number 9 of all time on our list of adventures for Greyhawk as we rank them on Sunday. Yep. Best location is J4. Gallery of Wonder among the assorted trophies of the company is 7. So they actually got spots where they're placing stuff. So very nicely done, Gary and Rick, on that. It's appreciated.
That's
Absolutely.
cool. We have orc gods in cages here. That's
orc gods in cages.
Cool. Yes, that's awesome. Yep.
So good catches on those, Mike.
There's one more Zagig related thing you could probably find in Dragon Magazine.
Okay.
Okay, so this is Dragon 270. And it's Zagig's Kamita-Con.
I don't have that dragon on my machine, but
no,
so what
270?
Oh, I do. Wow.
Robert Mullins did a bunch of like pages from the mages for Greyhawk.
Is it Bazaar or is it Arcane Lore? Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Lore. Page 60.
The Kamita-Con.
Here's also Zagig's Amusing Alteration. That's a spell. Zagig's Canned Laughter, another spell. So this is a grimoire, right? It's a book. It's like tomes from the pages from the Mages books that Ed has
for Greyhawk.
Yeah, that was a series of several articles in Dragon Magazine. This is the Paisahawk area, if I remember correctly.
Still is, yeah.
Yeah, they were great. Yeah.
Oh boy, Zagig's Gender Shift.
Yeah.
Yeah. Quite a common thing back then.
Anything for a prank.
Anything.
Yes. Yeah.
Anything for a prank, yeah. Let's see. Here's all the other spells that are in here. There's Tasha's spell in here. Full Speech. Chaos. Eye Bite. Yeah, a lot of others. There's a lot of joke spells in here. Huh. Cool. Well, you gave me another thing that I can have Ed's Greenwood's group, his Greyhawk Mage can search for, Mike. Oh, Mike blipped. Hopefully he's okay.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
Doing.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Good,
you
good,
went.
good.
You went. Pick went off. So great catches, man. I got to remember this one. Dragon 270. All right. Zagig's Comedicon. Nicely done. So anything in closing on this? See, we got through this pretty easily.
Yeah.
His ethics or morals, I mean, not aligned with. Yeah, true. Got some really good. Remember, this is one stream of 5 this week. All right, I got 5 streams this week. Keep him busy. Wife is going to the Phillies game Saturday night, so I got a night stream because I will be alone. She's going with other family. So, any questions from the audience? Thanks, Bob. Cranking it up, everyone. Really appreciate it. Got a ton of stuff to shout out to. Let me see here. I'm just looking to see what I'm going to raid into tonight. I guess we're going. I thought Bones was going to
I
finish
should mention what Dark Elf asked about and talked about before. It's like I have.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's
please.
like 2 different ways that
Hey,
creatures can become deities, so to speak, and one is they can ascend, they can be powerful, and then they can attract worshippers or people that fear them, and eventually they can become deities. They can also be sponsored if they're that way too, so they can ascend, or a combination of being powerful and being sponsored, like Zagig, for instance, an example of that. But then I also have the other way around, what that you talked about, that the gods, deities, that powers that come like the sun and the forest and stuff like that. So if enough creatures worship a phenomena, then that phenomena can take the shape of a deity. So that's how you get the wind gods and the sun god and stuff like that. And they can be multiple of them, so to speak. So enough creatures that go around to worship the sun in one area, that the sun gets an aspect that they can then interact with, and it can take physical form. And that also has 10 divine ranks that work slightly differently in the beginning until it become powerful enough, and then they both become interchangeable and become divine beings of great power eventually, so, or can be. But so I put in rules for that, so meaning how can you kill a god, so to speak, depending on its power, so to speak. And the more powerful it becomes, the more difficult it becomes. And then it's almost impossible to kill a god that is really, really powerful, because they basically have to be forgotten. So a deity that is really powerful, you have to kill yourself, because you remembers the deity. So that means that you have to root them out, so to speak. You have to destroy all their temples, all their clerics, and then if they're really, really powerful, they can hide in the memory of people and the fear of them. So they have to be forgotten completely before they're gone.
So
and
maybe you just hit upon Gary's question then.
Yeah.
Is magic dying in Orth? And that would then imply Bakub dies, right?
Yeah, that's an interesting way of making a cool twist to that story. Yeah.
Once
Maybe
again,
he wants magic die.
That's
dying.
speculation. That's all speculation.
Oh yeah.
You know, and we're talking about 998, and we're talking about way in the look of someone in the future looking back.
Yeah.
So
And if no one knows how to use magic, does magic goes away? It's like the philosophical question: if a tree falls in the forest and there's no one there to observe it, does it happen, so to speak, kind of thing? Yeah.
I don't know. I'm in the here and now in GREYHAWK.
Yeah.
Right, and how many deities have I attacked or killed in all those years? 0.
Oh, same here, 0, because deities are really hard to get after, but and their struggle and campaigns against each other can plays out over centuries and millennia and so on.
Yeah. Now, that doesn't mean that I mean, we threw out some fun stuff like the Son of Orcus a little while back, but that's not the Orcus himself. You know what I mean? So it's just some fun things to do.
And that's why deities create religion and henchmen and whole churches and cults and stuff, because it gives them power, but it's also a tool they use against other gods and other powers of being. It's like a war by proxy kind of thing. So that's how I have it. So yeah.
Anything is possible, Gary. Right? It just depends on you as the DM, and I just hope we never get set in stone written lore like that, because I think that would be a shame. But you never
Yeah,
know.
and it should be fluid and multifaceted and stuff because that's a cool part of fantasy. It should
Right.
be that there should be hidden facets to it and kind of fun stuff so you can twist it and go, run with it in different directions and
And
stuff.
I know for a fact that Ed was pissed off at what they did with his setting in Time of Troubles. He even told us live.
Oh yeah, he
He's
talked
not
about
very
it a bit.
happy,
So
but he
no,
you
but
know he didn't own the rights to it then, so he
well, that's
lived
what
with it.
happens. As soon as someone
Yeah,
else makes use of what you
yeah.
wrote, then
Hold on to your
they
IP,
can run it.
everyone. That's the moral of the story. Um, Always hold on to your IP.
No, but it's like my maps. I give them away because I want people to make
Right,
use
but
of them. I see them
you're
as
making GREYHAWK maps, and
yeah,
like I
exactly.
said,
It's a raw material. So and the
right.
heraldry and all the
If
other
you had your
stuff
own
that I do.
campaign setting, and you were giving away
No, it
all
depends
yeah,
on what
yeah,
the purpose is, so to speak. So
absolutely.
yeah,
And just anything that
yeah,
I mean, my God, anything that I stream can be you can pilfer
oh
from. It's just fine. I mean, it's part of
yeah,
why we do these shows.
yeah. And
We want to come up with
Astrolife, that is a
ideas.
great question. Why deities or district have agreement to save demigods? Yes, that's a really yeah. That's the saying about Greyhawk that that's the agreement. And I realized that no, I
It's
don't
not
think
true.
deities can have agreements. But I wanted to keep with the Greyhawk tradition. So the way I try to figure out why gods aren't everywhere on the prime material plane to fight each other is that the gods can send their aspects or themselves. There are two ways for deities, or three ways for deities to interact with the prime material plane. One is by agents sending their
You
clerics
spelled it
and their
wrong.
worshippers and hand out magic, so to speak. That's one way of wielding their power on the prime material plane. It's a very safe way. They just have to spend a little bit of their divine powers and hand it off to underlings, and they will then run around and hopefully do their bidding, so to speak. That's one way. The other more drastic way is to send an aspect of themselves down, so to speak, an avatar down on the prime material plane to do it. And the good thing with that is that even if that avatar gets destroyed or killed off, the god doesn't die. It just loses some of its power temporarily and to form a new one. And the more powerful gods can have multiple avatars at the same time in different parts, so to speak. But that requires more of a power investment, but it's not that risky. The downside with using an avatar is that then involves magic, and that means that can be detected. So I use that in part resides on the primary chair plane. If other gods want to come and mess with him, send avatar, they can be detected. So that means that it's less risky, but it's also way less effective because it's like a big warning light saying, oh, there's a deity walking around on the prime material plane, so it can be detected and dealt with in that sense. And then there's the third way that is both way more powerful but also way riskier, and that's to go in person. The deity can go, instead of sending an avatar, they can go themselves there. And that means that they are not detected by magic because they are there in person, so they can sneak in. But the thing is, then they can actually be killed, and much be they can be resurrected in various ways, but it's way more risky because it might take a lot of precautions and it can be a lot difficult to get back. That's how I dealt with it. Why gods rarely, if ever, want to take the risk of being on the prime material plane, except for a few that have decided that it's in their favor to do it, like Cuthbert and Ayus and a few others.
Farland.
Yeah, exactly. So there's
He
some deities, but
blunders.
yeah, but then that has exactly Farlangen is another one that can do it too. So
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
regularly
And he's
does.
not a
Yeah,
demigod. He's a lesser god.
yeah. But that means that they have more direct power, but it's also riskier. So you have to keep a low profile, so you don't stand out. Because if your enemies start finding where you are, they can go after you and kind of harm you way more than they can just killing an episode. That was my way of circumventing and explaining why deities don't come regularly and fight out big battles on the prime, because it's risky. to do
A
it.
lot going on
So
in
they
chat,
send their
Joe.
they start cults and send their clerics and stuff instead to do the battles for them, and run whole countries and churches and battles over
If
long
they want
times.
to affect big changes, they got to do it themselves.
Yeah,
Yep.
Like
but
last
or
week, we talked about Hextor and Hieronymus.
yeah,
I can imagine a disguised Hextor could have manifested in the Great Kingdom and
hmm
caused the turmoil between the
yeah,
crowns personally.
yeah.
Sure.
And I have it that, for instance, Heronius and Hextor are now using they're now building up proxies by basically running whole countries with their henchmen, so to speak, meaning Belvor, Katarina, the
No
Evids, Grendel,
Belvoir.
and others. So
Sorry.
they are building in that sense. They're building their organizations, the henchmen, and out in order to maybe then go head to head and clash over dominance of the world, so to speak. But on the other hand, there are others part of the game, so they might never get to being the two top dogs doing it, but they're aiming for it. But there are many parts to that power play. So yeah, but that's
Alrighty.
just my way of dealing with that issue, because I think it's an issue that requires some sort of explanation why it doesn't happen, so to speak.
And like I said, there's ways you can do the interaction, and very little, very
Or you can just ignore the whole thing and say, well, gods are out there somewhere, and then they give
yeah,
you spells, and
that
then you
too.
don't, yeah, and then you don't need to worry about it. You don't need to go that deep if you don't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Greyhawk Adventures, bless what was that, Zeb, right?
Zeb Cook.
Yeah.
Is that Zeb?
No, it
No,
was
Jim
It was
Ward.
Ward. Ward,
Jim
yeah,
Ward.
yeah,
Yeah.
bless Ward's. But he in the early chapters on the gods, he says that they can be found walking the streets of the city, Greyhawk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he really went the opposite direction with
Yeah.
that.
Which I think is cool, because that opens up another cool set of possibilities.
It does. It does. And like you said, there's no wrong or right way to run your Greyhawk or DM it. Everyone's got their own ideas, and that's the great thing
Yeah.
about the discussions.
Yeah. Cherry pick from others.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see what before we do the giveaway, let's see what we got going on. So, Mike, what's up with you this week? Anything? How's the game? Game was yesterday, right?
Yeah, it was actually.
You got a
I
post? Oh, here comes a post.
Yeah, here comes a
Oh,
post. I
awesome.
I got a comic.
Another
Yay.
comic post there on his blog spot.
Yes.
Oh,
So there you go.
Thuristan cults.
Cultists.
Cultists.
Enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, the Paralink campaign's going good. They just uncovered a nefarious plot to a Splinter Cell is trying to help retake Paraland for someone. Wink, wink.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. Someone that begins with an I.
Well, that's what they'll think.
That's what they'll think.
But
Yeah.
but there's a twist.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Very cool.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike. This is great. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm enjoying Paraland.
Yeah, it's a good place to. It's like it's a little niche. Like that's why I always see Bone March, got a little niche up there. Yep. So, all right, Anna, what's up?
I was hoping that I could have posted it today, but it will hopefully come tomorrow.
Let's go for the
A set of shields. I have done 11 so far. I'm see if there's a couple of more I can squeeze out that I've done. So there's a bunch of more Siege, Prince Siege personal shield is among those. The shield for Wunzi and a bunch of others that I found in the study and I've listed. So there's a couple more on my list that I want to do. So they're coming. Plus, a sneak peek is coming. Hopefully tomorrow too. I'll write it up and have some screenshots of the new GREYHAWK maps. This time they are textured as well. Not only the elevation maps, they're textured as well. It's not final yet, but they are starting to get there. So that's the two things that are next on the agenda, and then there's more updates to the sources database in the making too. So yeah.
Excellent.
And a map stream on Friday.
Yep. Don't forget that Friday evening, like 9 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, it's exactly 6
Yep.
p.m. Pacific. Yeah,
All right. Here's
I put the link in there
3
first thing. So,
RPG games coming up. Starting, tomorrow. Oh, I should have gotten picks up. So we finished the Narwhal Headhunters Bastion of Undeath tomorrow night, 7:30. Tom will be on vacation, so he'll be out. But we got the rest of the crew there. Let me just throw this up. They were in the middle of a fight here. Lots of undead, in the almost fell in a pit trap, but they're fighting warrior whites in this. As they're making their way into this area and near the end, and they're thinking that they're looking for a nobleman who's lost, been missing for a long time, and his wife's been dead for a long time, and so he went a little crazy when she passed. So you get the whole story at the end of this, and that's tomorrow night. And we got Gamescape 3D and Troller Games giveaways tomorrow night. And that Gamescape 3D is a great compilation of STLs like usual. Yep, and that'll be tomorrow night. Then Saturday's a doubleheader. So Saturday at noon with Curtis DMing, we've played Champions at GaryCon, and we streamed Champions once before. This will be the first time that the ever mysterious Tim gets to play, which is going to be crazy and fun. And I'll be at noon. I'll run from like noon to 4 on Saturday, and we got Coco, Brett, Tim, and myself playing in the game. So with Curtis running that'll be noon to 4. Get like an hour break before tough one. Come on, Rocket. My character is like the Fritz Winchester of Champions, right? So Rocket's Red Glare, big D bag. So it'd definitely be a fun one, and we'll see about Tim playing for the first time. And then monster game Saturday night. I actually have 8 players in it. The group 2 drink minimum with Ed Greenwood back playing Ravalantar. We got Tony Winslow Brill. We got Darling, Bones, Coco, Eric Mengi, Astralier, who's on here now, and Eric Boyd playing. And it's called Rest and Relaxation. After what happened at GaryCon, you all remember at GaryCon, or if you don't, some fun things happened. The fight was really tough. Ed was staring me down at the table because this, we heard all the bad things that I was doing. I was being really mean, as he said. I'm trying to look and see if I have any pics of this in here. I may have. Is that the group? There's the group from GaryCon when we ran it. There's Ed and the whole crew there. A GREYHAWK Mage of Rari went after Ed, the GREYHAWK Mage of Autoluke. Rosie died, but Eric Mengi's character, Talowik, took her place. It was all, right down her, yeah. So it's called Rest and Relaxation. It's after that. What could possibly be bad for them? What could go wrong? So, Jeremy, if you're on Astralier, Tony may hate me, or she may really like it. You'll see. I'm really gonna, yeah. So, I got some real surprises for our friend Tony Winslow Brill, who's, trust me, it's gonna be fun. And and there'll be some big giveaways from Troller Games that stream too. I believe at least 2 25-hour gift certificates from them. Saturday night from 6 to 10. It may run late because we always do, but it'll be a fun time. Yes, and you're 8th level. You saw that, right? You went up to 8th. You're a priest of Astralier. You're a priest of Clangadin is now 8th level.
Yeah, Bob. Also, that's awesome. I will provide height maps in the future. You can hopefully feed into and stuff like that. That will be so cool. And you can,
So that'll be it. And then we'll have a Gavin on Sunday night, which I haven't even thought about. Just remember, in a couple weeks, we'll have. Oh my God, my brain shut off. I am so bad. Who wrote N1? Oh my God. Oh my gosh, it's right here. So I can just look at it right here. Doug Niles will be on in a couple weeks. Oh my God. Jeez, my brain's dead. But a lot of other stuff coming up. And note, it's going to be announced soon that I am running a 24-hour stream It's going to be Saturday, July 5th, the day after 4th of July. And I'm going to do it differently than last year, where I had 3 different groups and 3 different adventures. I'm going to run Baltron's Beacon. I'm going to run that from beginning to end, and I'm going to have 5 base players. All the people that were on that show that suggested it. So I got Stronghold Tim, Korg, Coco, Brett, and Curtis. And then I'm going to have a guest or 2 every 8-hour spot, or every spot that it makes sense for a change out. So I'm going to bring in some like floating players in on the 24 hour. I think it'll work. So yes, Sage, 24-hour.
And it will be a game session, 24 hours, or do you
one game session for 24 hours? I'll be live for 24 hours. I'm going to apply for the Twitch front page for it. Problem is, it's a Saturday morning. It may be really tough for me to get a Saturday pop on it, but I'm going to give it a shot. Yeah, Mike's going to sound like a fun time for that. So that'll be Baltron's Beacon, which none of them are played. Curtis, it may not run 24 hours if you're that good and you get through it quickly. It's a great adventure, though. So that's what we're going to do coming up. And then we'll see after that. We got so many other things going on. So, all right. All right, let's see who wins tonight, and we'll get out of here. Let's call exclamation point drawing. I'm going to raid into Folk and Myth tonight. I haven't done them in a bit, and they got a pretty good game going on right now. So let's raid into Folk and Myth. And for everyone, I want to say thank you all for the support tonight. Mike and Anna, thanks for a great discussion.
Oh, thank you.
We'll figure out.
Thank
you
you,
know,
everybody
we may continue on the deity. We're on a deity roll. We may continue on that for next Wednesday night's Legends and Lore. All right, here we go. Let's see who wins. Winner. Which Starfall is the winner? Nice. And I will send you some stuff because, yes, and she plays in the new group of the Champions of Avon. So she's in, and so I will get her. She needs some new stuff. So I know I sent Sage this, but I'll send her a gazetteer so that she can learn more about GREYHAWK. And she's mods on Coco's channel too. So it's good to see someone like that winning, and she's in chat. So there you go. All right.
I'm one of the authors.
Yes. Yes. It's a great book. Great book. So I'm going to get you that at minimum and something else. So everyone, thank you. We turn this light off because it's been in my eyes. Into Folk and Myth, say hello to them. They're playing their Ysera campaign, but they're part of our stream team. So let's give them a little love. And we'll everyone. Got you. Yeah. I'm going to give you this. I'm going to send you this, which I need. So Discord me or whisper me here full name and address, and I'll get it right out to you. I got to send out Bane stuff from Sunday. I haven't sent that out yet either, so I got to do that. So just send it to me tonight, and it'll be out tomorrow morning. So it's a great book, Sage. You got it too. Yeah, absolutely. It shows you all the stuff going on in GREYHAWK. Yeah, definitely. We'll see you all. See you all tomorrow night, 7:30. For a fun adventures. We finish that one up, a homebrew adventure in GREYHAWK, and then we have a doubleheader on Saturday. So I'm trying to find the right button here to hit. Here we go. So
bye, everyone.
Thank you all. See ya. All right. Raid. This up, going Folk and Myth. All right, they got 17 in there. Let's see if we can like quadruple it or triple it. Miko's DMing. Be really cool. All right, nice. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See y'all tomorrow night. Thank you. Yep. Sound better.